Sorry for the delay. We had a lot to cover in closed sessions, but will you read us out of?
Certainly. I move that this council certify by a recorded vote that to the best of each council member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion convening the closed session were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed session.
Second.
I'm not sure if everyone's connected, but so I'll do a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Great, the motion passes 5-0. Did you want to take the action on the?
Yes, I make a motion to nominate the following people to the following boards. For the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Fund Committee, Terry Tyree. For the Community Development Block Grant and Home Task Force, Greg Self. For the Historic Resources Committee, Hillary Worley. For the Jefferson Madison Regional Library Board for a term ending June 30th, 2030, Ann Hemingway. The Piedmont YMCA Board of Directors, Bill Barefoot. Police Civilian Oversight Board, George Dillard, Rueri Vaughn, Karen Lenoir Kelly, and Albie Lefebvre. For the Sister Cities Commission, Talia Long, Lisa Cooker, and Brian Homit. For the Social Services Advisory Board, Linda Watson and Avon Batten. The Towing Advisory Board, Joseph Burns Peacock, and the Youth Council, Callie Sun.
Second the
And,
motion.
one more, sorry. And the removal from the Youth Council of Lyric Cooper and David Derry.
Second the motion.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All- Everyone, it's okay. So we're going to vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you all. We had a lot of great candidates to apply for different positions. We still have some open, so please check out the website. Let's see. We're going to have a moment of silence. Thank you. Are there any announcements? Okay. If not, we do have one proclamation. Ms. Fletcher?
The celebration of National Nonprofit Day. Whereas National Nonprofit Day is observed annually on August 17th to recognize the indispensable contributions of nonprofit organizations that strengthen communities and improve the quality of life for residents. And whereas Charlottesville's nonprofit organizations provide critical services and opportunities in areas such as affordable housing, education, healthcare, food security, environmental stewardship, arts and culture, youth development, economic mobility, and support for older adults, veterans, and individuals with disabilities. And whereas these organizations are sustained by the dedication of staff, volunteers, board members, donors, and community partners whose service and generosity help build a more connected, compassionate, and resilient Charlottesville. And whereas nonprofit organizations serve as trusted partners to the city of Charlottesville by fostering civic engagement, encouraging volunteerism, responding to emerging community needs, and working collaboratively to address local challenges. And whereas the city's nonprofit community enriches the social, cultural, and economic vitality of Charlottesville and demonstrates every day that collective action and public service strengthen our community for present and future generations. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Charlottesville City Council hereby recognizes and honors National Nonprofit Day in the city of Charlottesville and encourages all residents to recognize and celebrate the invaluable contributions of nonprofit organizations and to support their missions through volunteerism, charitable giving, advocacy, and community partnership. Signed and dated the 17th day of August, 2026 by Mayor.
Dr. Doyle, would you like to come up? Accept and maybe say a few words if you would. Thank you.
This is lovely. Thank you to each of you on City Council, each council member. And with regards to the National Nonprofit Day, this was approved at the national level, and it's tremendous to bring it to the city as we are just a city tremendously affected by a number of different social issues, and we have a great nonprofit community that is here to support all of those issues alongside government, alongside the private sector as well. So we thank you for your support. We look forward to continuing to be in collaboration with each of you.
Thank you so much. We're now at the opportunity for community matters. There are 8 pre-registered speakers, an opportunity for 8 other speakers, and we ask that you limit your time to 3 minutes. And we have the first speaker is Ann Lacer.
Very close.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Good evening. Yes,
Good
my name
evening.
is Ann Lacer. I've been a resident of the Belmont neighborhood for 12 years, and I'm here tonight to ask you to vote no on the proposed ordinance to vacate the 162-foot section of Castalia Street requested by 303 Palatine LLC. Charlottesville needs more housing, and I support the higher density zoning, even when it's happening in my backyard, which it literally is. However, I believe it would be a mistake to set a precedent of surrendering public land to private developers. This 162-foot street is a public asset, and these historic alleyways are one of the things that make the Belmont neighborhood special. Public rights-of-way serve a vital long-term purpose for our neighborhood connectivity, future pedestrian pathways, and public infrastructure easements. Once the city surrenders public land to a private entity, it's gone forever. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Next speaker is Jennifer Grant.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Jennifer Grant. I am at the Free Bridge encampment side. We have a lot going on down there right now. First of all, I want to say y'all put the cameras up for our safety. Safety where? Because I was recently admitted in UVA. I came home the next day and the whole backside of my tent is slashed out, and they have robbed me for everything that I have. The camera footage did not catch anything. So then now we oppose to the shelter idea. Let's go to the shelter. Y'all broadcast this across everywhere. Now we have people coming in from all over the Tri-Cities stating that they live at the encampment, which they really don't, just so that they can go to the shelter. Let's bring back the 2 rape incidents. So now let's put everybody in one building. Bathrooms and showers are outside. Where's the safety going to come about? Y'all have police on patrol 24/7 down there in cameras. Nobody can tell us anything. So you want females to go shower outside, use the bathroom outside, when there is no safety in this ordinance at all. Nobody can sit here and live day-to-day basis and tell us how to live. We live how we want to live, and this is how we want to live. People with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, you cannot control this by putting us into a shelter. It comes hand in hand. With mental health comes housing, comes substance abuse. You have to pair them all in one group. You cannot say, okay, a shelter is going to solve all the problems and get people out of this one neighborhood. Well, guess what? It's not. We're going to find other places to go. And it's just simple as that. Then guess what you're going to have? More violence, more rape issues, more this, more that. You're going to have everybody spread it all across the county, and you're not going to know where anybody is. You're going to have a lot of death victims coming up on your hands. I'm just going to be here to let you know. So you better get prepared for it. I sat there and watched a man almost take his life the other night. This is the reason why my tent got slashed. It's because I saved his life. It is not fair. It's not fair at all. I would be not who I am today if I sat there and let that man take his life and walk past him. He was laying under the bridge and he was literally taking his life. So therefore, I get retaliated on because I helped that man save his life. That's not fair. It's not fair at all. You guys need to come up with another plan, and you need to come up with another plan fast, because this shelter idea is not going to work. I'm here to vouch for it. I'm here to help you. I'm here to tell you. Maybe y'all need to take some of our ideas and our suggestions into hands before you say September 1st, go. Or you put up all these new signs saying you'll be put in jail. We don't care about jail. We've been there before. Who cares about it? Think about what I'm saying, please.
Thank you. Heidi Berthoud.
Hello, my name is Heidi Divya-Bertu, and I live on River Vista Avenue, and I speak for the Court Square Enslavement Memorial Group. Deputy City Manager Freeze, when our group met with you last December, you told us your office needed to know there are descendants of enslaved ancestors who want the sign of the slave auction block restored to 0 Park Street and East Jefferson. We gave you a list of 20 NAACP members. You also directed us to request a city council vote to restore the sign, or wait 2 years for the Arts Commission to be created. So in January and February, our group made 12 presentations to council showing why the auction block sign should be postponed no longer. Mayor Wade, you met with us, and Councilor Fleischer, thank you. You also wanted evidence from descendants. UVA descendants of enslaved communities, a large group, together with Swords into Plowshares and the Jefferson School, emailed you that support in April. We were informed by Council Clerk Thomas that we must ask you, City Manager Sanders, to place this issue on a council meeting agenda. We complied, asking for that for July 20th. You said August would be better. We asked for August 3rd, August 17th, and we're not on the agenda. In addition, you received supportive emails from other citizens asking you to schedule this issue. Deputy Freeze directed us how to pursue this process. We also fulfilled the requests of Mayor Wade and Councilor Fleischer. City Manager Sanders, I continue to you. Why has this issue not been placed on the council's meeting agenda across the last 3 city council meetings? We join with hundreds of citizens whose ancestors were sold on the auction block who long for truth and reckoning. Will you please place our request for restoration of the sign for the slave auction block on your September meeting agenda? Would you please answer now? Thank you.
We're still, we'll begin to report on that later. Oh, you finished your comments?
Well, I've got 23 seconds if
Okay.
you want to answer.
Okay. Well, we're not prepared to answer that right now.
Okay. Can you answer in some other way? By email, by
Yeah.
a phone call? Is that a yes?
We will follow up on the next steps. This is something that we have to, make sure that we get all the input in it. And everything that you said was not accurate, but we can't get into that now. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The next speaker is Jim McClinley Oaks.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Again, my name is Jim McKinley Oaks. I live in downtown Charlottesville on Park Street, just a few blocks actually from the auction block where my white predecessors sold black human beings for decades. I speak for the Court Square Enslavement Memorial Group. And our members have been asking you to restore the sign for the slave auction block for 24 years of trying to get the information to you the way you want. In the past year alone, 8 of us are no longer able to stand before you. Former Howard University Dean Marie Baker Coles has died. Eugene Williams has died. The secretary of the Montgomery bus boycott, the Reverend Dr. Uriah Fields, is incapacitated. The Reverend Dr. Marvin Morgan, former pastor of Sojourners Church, is retired to Atlanta. The Reverend Dr. David Garth has died. Sergeant Herb Porter, who met with 4 different city managers and several city council members across 10 years, has died. Our leader, 30-year Air Force Colonel and former Federal Executive Institute Director Robert Guest III, age 89, is in the hospital. Former Chief Engineer of the University of Virginia, Kirk Bowers, has died. That is 6 black and 2 white leaders of our memorial group gone. 5 of our other senior leaders, including me, who ask you to restore the sign, are in our 80s. We'd like you to tell us what you're waiting for. Why won't you tell us? The city of Charlottesville has a right to know. How many more of our Citizens Enslavement Memorial Group asking you for the auction block sign must die before you schedule a vote to approve this project? Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next speaker is Lee French.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, members of City Council, my name is Lee French, and I live at 1000 Rockland Avenue in Belmont. I'm here tonight to ask City Council to vote no on the proposed ordinance to vacate and close the 162-foot public section of Castellina Street for development at 221 and 303 Palatine Avenue. While the city's new zoning code allows for higher density by right, this city council is not obligated to hand over public land and city right-of-way to make a private developer's footprint more profitable. The developer's 13-unit major site plan has already been denied twice by Neighborhood Development Services due to technical plan deficiencies, specifically concerning stormwater management and site layout. By vacating this section of the street, the city would be rewarding non-compliant planning and permanently giving up public assets solely to resolve a private developer's space constraints. Without this public land, the developer will be forced to design a project that actually fits in the geographic and infrastructure constraints of our existing neighborhood. This level of consolidation exacerbates existing pressures on our narrow streets, increases stormwater and drainage concerns, and overburdens local parking and traffic flow along Palatine, Quarry Road, and Quarry Park. The city's primary responsibility is to protect the public space and the neighborhood livability, not to optimize private development assembly. I ask the City Council to protect our public rights of way, preserve future pedestrian connectivity, and vote against this street vacation. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan?
Hello, my name is Susan Del Gobo, and I live in the Locust Grove neighborhood. I am here in support of the tireless work of the Court Square Enslavement Memorial Group's efforts to restore the missing signage of the slave auction block at Zero Park and East Jefferson. As we all know, in 2002, this signage was taken down and not replaced. It's been 24 years. From speaking with the members of the group initiating the replacement of the signage, I've learned that despite extensive outreach and regular emails written to the city manager requesting city council's attention, there has been no substantial action, no discussion, and no vote. I find this to be an affront to our community. On the other hand, thank you, I applaud you for approving the complex, long-term, and impressive project of park memorials led by Swords into Plowshares. Not only do the memorials show long overdue and deserved respect, they let visitors to Charlottesville know that we care about and want and strive to nourish and celebrate
diversity, and inclusion in our community. With all this in mind, it seems to reason that the recognition of the slave auction site, is simple in scope, yet mighty in significance. This deserves immediate and swift action. Please, city councilors, make this a reality as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Jesse Hopper?
Can I give some documents to the
Yes.
clerk, please? And I need to fix you to keep it taken and pass it down. My name is Jesse Harper. I live at 209 Azalea Drive, and I own property at 302 Monte Vista Avenue. In January of 2023, City Council authorized the disturbance of approximately 93.1% of a site's critical slopes in the Azalea Springs neighborhood. They granted a waiver that was subject to a series of specific conditions. Several of these conditions directly address erosion and sediment control, stabilization, construction sequence, and the safe conveyance of water during construction. You recognize the risks that this waiver imposed on the neighborhood and created these conditions. They weren't suggestions, they weren't decorations, they were conditions of the waiver, part of the basis of the approval of this project. Stanley Martin was responsible for implementing those conditions. They didn't. And now we in the neighborhood are living with the consequences. These aren't simply allegations from irritated neighbors. On August the 2nd, a storm carried sediment and construction debris off the site and downstream onto neighboring properties. The city documented erosion and sediment control deficiencies and issued a stop work order. Virginia DEQ documented additional deficiencies and sediment extending approximately 1,000 feet downstream. The very thing these conditions were intended to prevent happened. It happened on my property, it happened on my neighbors' properties. And now we've been told by the city that the downstream damage is a civil matter between Stanley Martin and the affected property owners. I understand that we may have a civil claim and we're pursuing that remedy, but I don't understand how that answers the city's enforcement question. This council granted the waiver. This council imposed the conditions. So my question is not simply when Stanley Martin gets to start work again. My question is whether a material failure to comply with the conditions under which this project was approved affects Stanley Martin's continuing entitlement to move forward under the existing approval. Can this approval or permit be suspended or revoked based on that non-compliance? Not necessarily to cancel the development. I understand we need housing. But to bring Stanley Martin back to the table with this council and this community and put meaningful safeguards in place before development continues. And when considering how much confidence to place in Stanley Martin going forward, look at the photograph I gave you. This is the morning of August 3rd when DEQ was coming to document the downstream damage. Before DEQ arrived to take measurements, Stanley Martin's workers entered private property with a machine without permission and began removing sediment from the stream. Consider that conduct. It's not an isolated incident. Stanley Martin has a documented history of DEQ enforcement involving erosion, sediment, and stormwater violations in Virginia. Here's what we're asking for.
Can you
use the
submit
strongest enforcement available.
Thank you, sir.
Pursue
Your
the
3 minutes up.
fines allowed by law and determine whether this approval can be suspended or revoked. Conditions
Thank you, sir.
only matter if there are meaningful consequences.
Thank you, sir. If you can submit your comments. Mr. Cox?
Kevin Cox, Fairway Avenue. I'd like to commend the city's ADA coordinator, Paul Rudisil, for the work that he has done to make Charlottesville more accessible. He's updated the city's ADA plan. He's responded quickly to problems. Many accessibility issues have been addressed. Obstructions have been removed. New ADA-compliant curb ramps and sidewalks have been built. Unfortunately, that work is routinely undermined. A new curb ramp may be installed, making a sidewalk accessible to someone using a wheelchair. Then someone drops a VO rental scooter on the ramp, and the ramp may as well never have been built. If the government provides a sidewalk, everyone has a right to use it, including disabled people. That right disappears when a VO rental scooter is left in the way. For someone using a wheelchair, that isn't simply an inconvenience. They may have a regular route they use every day, and suddenly that route is blocked by a VO scooter sitting there. One person I know who uses a wheelchair calls the VO scooters the bane of my existence. This should not be happening. Regulations govern VO's operations and are intended to protect people's civil rights to full access. Those regulations provide for fines when scooters blocking access aren't removed. The fine for VO is only $100. Illegally parking in a disabled parking space carries a $500 fine. There have been 662 reports on my C-bill of improperly parked scooters over the past 5 years. People who own their own scooters don't leave them lying around on sidewalks. They park them properly and lock them up because they don't want them stolen. So we're potentially talking about hundreds of violations and tens of thousands of dollars in possible fines. However, the staff refuses to tell me how many times VO has been fined, probably because VO has threatened to leave. I've asked Ben Chambers and Tommy Safranek several times how often VO has been fined. Neither will answer or even acknowledge the question. It's public information. So for you, City Council, I have 2 Freedom of Information Act requests. First, I am requesting copies of all emails between city staff and VO concerning these issues from August 17th, 2024 to August 17th, 2026. Second, I am requesting a list of all fines the city assessed against VO during that same period, including the date each fine was assessed, the date it was paid, and the amount. I would like a cost estimate for this public information. We have a right to know whether these regulations are actually being enforced. If accessibility is a civil right, protecting that right has to mean more than installing a curb ramp. It also means making sure people can actually use it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, did you note that for your request?
I'll get it to our FOIA officer.
Thank you. That concludes our 8 pre-registered speakers. We have an opportunity for 8 more. I'll start over here. Would anyone like to speak over here? Here, Donna?
Good afternoon. I'm Donna Shaughnessy. I live on Birdwood Road in the city, and I am supporting the folks from the Court Square Enhancement Memorial Group. I just think it's unconscionable that we have not yet, in all these years, replaced the slave block information signs. And I speak to it from a person who was a German major and also spent a lot of time in Germany. And so in Berlin in particular, they have Stolpersteine, which are, they're called, it's the stumbling blocks, but they don't stumble on. They're little stones that appear wherever you go, where a person was taken away to a concentration camp or killed. It's not just Jews, it's people who disagreed, and they're everywhere, and they're all throughout Europe. There's 100,000 of them everywhere. And those are such an important learning tool for people to remind them of the horrors that happened with the Holocaust, and similar to what horrible things happened here. And one of the really cool things about it is the research on each of these stones is often carried out by school children and their teachers. So they research the people whose names are then emblazoned in brass on these concrete stones. And it is an amazing learning tool and a wonderful way to recognize what happened, and in hopes that stuff like that will never happen again. So I urge you to move forward on this. I am embarrassed that Charlottesville does not have that anymore, and I hope that you can see your way clear to actually moving on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
scrap forced displacement at Freebridge. Good evening, Donna Tejan, Albemarle County. The city calls the planned September 1 encampment sweep a public safety intervention. It isn't. It's forced displacement with no viable alternative. People living at Freebridge have been there for years. Many have been there since the last sweep. They've built community, relationships, routines, and support systems. A congregate emergency shelter that may or may not be open by September 1st is still under construction, offers no privacy, and is not a viable alternative for the vast majority of people being displaced. The city points to flooding, water quality, a death, a fire, allegations of sexual assault as reasons the sweep needs to happen. But these are the facts. Flooding. The encampment has not flooded. The river is controlled by dams. A hypothetical future flood does not justify forced displacement today. Water quality. Recent monitoring has found generally good recreational water quality in the Rivanna. Death. A person died at Freebridge. This is tragic, but one death does not establish that an entire community is unsafe. Fire. There was a fire purportedly set intentionally by someone from outside the community. When outside agitators enter the encampment, harass residents, provoke conflict, and intentionally create problems, the answer is to address those actors, not displace the people being targeted. Sexual assault allegations. There are unsubstantiated allegations. They must be investigated, but allegations are not findings, and they do not establish that an entire community must be removed. Meanwhile, the city's policy is already causing harm. People are already scattering. They are losing community, relationships, outreach connections, transportation, belongings, and the people who know where they are. For people who have already experienced homelessness and repeated displacement, forcing people to move again is re-traumatizing and runs counter to the lessons other cities have learned about the harm caused by repeated sweeps. Your proposed alternative creates its own safety concerns. Holiday Drive is just being prepared. Among other things, it has no sprinkler system, has outside bathrooms, and will have construction noise going on for the foreseeable future while people are staying there. 24-hour staffing does not substitute for fire suppression. A person sitting at a desk is not a sprinkler system. The city says it's creating individualized transition plans. If the plans are individualized, why is displacement mandatory? There should be no mandatory clearing of this community. When genuinely available, appropriate housing options become available, people should be offered those options voluntarily, not forced out by a deadline. Let individual circumstances determine the timeline. Scrap the sweep, back off the arbitrary September 1st deadline, and stop forcing people out of their homes.
Thank you. Anyone over here like to speak? Anyone over here like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Amber Thompson. I used to live down at the encampment. I can't say what they're going through, but there's people that live on the downtown mall. There's companies getting them for trespassing. When it rains and everything, we're not allowed to go underneath the pavilion to stay dry. There's people out here that with mental health and everything that get scared of storms, and they don't have a safe place to stay because people are getting them from trespassing. And it's hard for people to stay dry when it rains. And they've been getting sick, hospitalized, and there's even people out there that's pregnant that's staying on this downtown mall. Like, they don't feel safe down there. And it's been really tough for a lot of people, definitely with mental health. Like, I have friends that's scared to stay by themselves because of all the sex offenders that's on crime radar. Like, if you're supposed to protect us, then y'all need to put people that's pregnant in safe places as well. Because when it comes to certain things, we're going to have to defend ourselves. And we will get in trouble and go to jail for it. And I just want everybody to be safe and everything, because I got raped back in January because I was walking down the outside downtown mall. They're still working on my case. I'm scared. I turn around and look behind my back every time because I'm scared that the same person is walking around downtown looking for the next person to do it too. Thank you.
Thank you. So sorry. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm
Good
Worthy
evening.
Martin. Worthy Martin. I've lived on Jefferson Park Circle for over 40 years, but I'm here to support the comments of Jesse about the corporate responsibility of a group like Stanley Martin has come in and completely shown that they cannot be counted on to be responsible in what they're doing. They've got their plans. They had plans specifically specified. They didn't follow their own plans. They've got people who are working there who have actually been very aggressive with some of the neighborhood, who's come to try to see what's going on with that. And they've created a huge mess. They're going to be coming back in, if they follow their plan, they're going to come back in with several, maybe as much as 40 feet of fill dirt. So here we've got water quality problems with them just allowing the runoff to go. How are we going to actually monitor at all the building up of that big of a landfill? They're going to put a fill in there, channelize the stream, and then put the houses on top of that. And so for a company that has shown their lack of responsibility, how we are going to actually make sure that they do the responsible thing with the plan as it is a good question. The fact that they have actually done violations, cited violations, does give us an opportunity, as Jesse pointed out, to possibly reconsider the plan and ask them to come back with a better plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other speakers? John?
I'm Johnny Hall of Frost Spring. I have a TV show on Channel 13, CPA TV, Save Our Nation. Hope people kind of donate to help it be sustained. I just got a series of provisional patents granted in July, and hope to help solve some of the problems in the city with them. One, get fold-out flash stop signs as seen on school buses, on all commercial buses, and have driver corral gates for security on all buses. 2, accountability, housing and job fair for the homeless. 3, public bathrooms and seating on the downtown mall. 4, a standard 32-foot, 37-foot, 42-foot wide street walk skate plan in the city. 5, voter ID means. 6, annex UVA and county land to decrease real estate and rain taxes by greater than 60%. Now, I'd like to kind of dwell on that. I have what I have described here by meets and bounds, and this won't happen until 2032 now because the moratorium has been extended till then. These are this is called the Christmas Tree Annex, and it is large, and Lloyd Snook cautioned me about that, and I appreciate that, Lloyd. I know it's kind of grandiose here, but that's what I envision here. Now, if this, with the growth in the county, urban-wise, there'd be plenty of money to go to the city. It'd be for a good cause, but provision would have to be made to kind of pay back the city at the same time. Provide a payback to Albemarle County in order to rescind the revenue sharing agreement, and at the same time create a transit authority that would get transit out to the Charlottesville Albemarle Airport.
Thank you.
I just wanted an open discussion about an annex, but it would be for 2032.
Thank you. Other speakers? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Lisa from Price Springs neighborhood. And I just wanted to extend to Charlottesville Police Department and to the community deepest sympathies at the loss of the K-9 Blue. We lost a K-9, and Chief Kotchis has come out, and some of his other people that work there have talked to us at the Price Springs Beach Club Neighborhood Association. So appreciate all their walks in the neighborhood, but just thinking about the department today and the handler and the community and everybody for the loss of the K-9 Blue. And the dogs put their lives on they're police officers too. They put their lives on the line every day to go to work just like the rest of the department does. And I appreciate Chief Kotchis and all the walks in the neighborhood. I have really noticed the last few years, and I have to say this, where the community, just from my layperson, I'm sensing more of a trusting relationship with law enforcement now than perhaps in years past. Perhaps, and I'll just stop right there. But I did want to just, acknowledge Blue and extend my deepest sympathies to the department for your loss and for the community's loss.
Thank you so much. We do acknowledge that loss. We have opportunity for 2 more speakers. Anyone? Yes.
My name is Laura Sergani, and I live in the Price Springs neighborhood. I'm here to address the proposed September 1st displacement date of unhoused neighbors living at Freebridge and 0 East High Street. By setting this arbitrary date, it is clear that at the urging of bullies and the urging of bullies and bureaucrats over the advice of those who would work most closely with unhoused neighbors, the city has prioritized expedience over humanity. Now the city is having to rush through a series of policy and funding decisions that do not serve our community and are creating further trauma for our most vulnerable neighbors. The $4 million that was allocated to help the unhoused should be allocated to long-term housing solutions, not to paying contractors to provide lower quality living conditions than most people here would accept during a short-term crisis, let alone giving up your freedom of movement. The city needs to explore other options for transitional housing. To be clear, those who participated in the assessment and the survey and everyone that we've been talking to felt that they were being told that they were getting housing at the end of this assessment, not being forced into a shelter in cramped conditions that don't support quality of life for them. The city needs to explore the other housing solutions that are available to them. This could be tiny home communities, such as they already have tried in places as close as Greensboro, North Carolina. We have UVA here. We can be harnessing our resources through UVA to create community partnerships with the engineering and architecture schools to build tiny home communities and plan infrastructure for supporting unhoused community members. We could also be expanding the UVA mobile health clinic with medical students and staff to serve areas that don't make unhoused residents feel that they have to choose between freedom of movement or needed health care treatment. Right now, the city and organizations can also designate camping areas employing a co-governance approach. There's other municipalities who have done this. The idea that we're the only city with encampments is just ridiculous. Everyone knows this is happening around the country. We get to decide what goes on in our communities, so should those who are camping. Whatever long-term solutions are pursued, it has to be clear that having a shelter of any kind is not a substitute for housing. And it is never a justification for harassment, displacement, or arrests. Because over-policing and under-resourcing is how we got here. If you are considering adding funding to the jail, which I noticed on the agenda, you could be keeping people out of jail by housing them rather than spending more money on the jail. The city's overall lack of understanding of housing policy and its link to community health is morally bankrupt and economically irresponsible. We, the community members, do understand this connection, and we're all bound in this housing crisis from 10th and Page to Fifeville to Freebridge. We will not let you divide us or pretend that our struggles are not your responsibility. We've seen how resolute this council could be making a poor decision. Now let's see if you have the moral courage to make some good ones.
Thank you. Opportunity for one more speaker? Opportunity for one more speaker? Isn't there be another one at the end? Thank you, thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda, I'm sorry about my voice.
Yeah.
Number 3, resolution to authorize $204,017 in additional funds for the Albemarle Charlottesville Regional Jail, second reading. 4, resolution to appropriate Albemarle County Human Services funding to the Department of Human Services for the Community Attention Youth Internship Program for $63,000, second reading. 5, resolution to appropriate an additional $45,330.18 from the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS and HIV grant, second reading. 6, resolution to appropriate funds for the Virginia Behavioral Health Grant. Sorry, let me start over. Resolution to appropriate funds for the Virginia Behavioral Health Docket Grant, $78,150, one of 2 readings. 7, resolution to appropriate Virginia State Police FY27 heat equipment reimbursement funding, $10,000, one of 2 readings. 8, resolution to grant $400,000 for climate program support for residential energy improvement services, one of 2 readings, and I do believe that's the one that is requesting 4/5 vote for one reading. 9, a resolution to renew CenturyLink Communications LLC license agreement. 10, resolution appropriating $750,000 received from the Jefferson Scholars Foundation for the vacation of Clark Court, one of 2 readings. 11, resolution to allocate $2 million for school operations contingency funds and amend the FY 2027 Charlottesville City Schools budget and the city's pupil transportation budget.
Can I get a motion with noting number 8, if there's support for that?
Should we just pull number 8 and put it at the end of the agenda?
Or does us voting 4 or 5 for the consent agenda
I think
automatically?
you can specify that in one motion.
And I have a separate, I have a quick question on the agenda, the item number 9 on the consent agenda. I know in the past with these agreements, this has been one of the areas where there's been, the language in the agreements was making it sometimes harder for us to address issues with utility poles, other ADA issues. Is this agreement separate from those issues, or has that already been addressed in the text of this renewal of the CenturyLink license agreement?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of the question. We are using, it's a new standard template we're using that does correct a whole lot of issues with how we've dealt with poles and relocating things in the past. This is a far better agreement than we've used in the past.
Mm-hmm. So this does, it's not just a renewal of what had been in the past before those issues were addressed?
No, there will be an update. There was considerable changes made to the enforcement sections on all license agreements. So as they come up for renewal, that information is being updated using the template that Mr. Maddox is referencing. And that's a few years of work.
Sorry, you would recall some number of months ago, we did a couple of these where they were not on consent, and we walked through those new provisions. Everything since then has been based on the templates that we walked through on those occasions.
Great, just wanted to confirm that.
Okay, so
I'll make a motion to pass the consent agenda acknowledging that item number 8 will be passing on a first reading with at least 4/5 vote.
Second.
Second, okay, we can vote. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much for that. The next item on the agenda is the city manager's report. I know it's going to be pretty robust this
Yeah, it's a long report, so buckle up. First up is the Tara Ragland with our Department of Human Services for a KYIP report.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Hello? Yes.
Okay.
You can speak up a little bit.
Good evening, Mayor Wade, councilors, and city manager, Sam Sanders. My name is Latara Ragland, gladly presenting on behalf of the City of Charlottesville Department of Human Services, Community-Based Program, Community Attention Youth Internship Program, also known as KYIP. For public reference, Community Attention Youth Internship Program is a paid youth internship program offered here primarily to City of Charlottesville residents aged 14 to 21. It is an opportunity to gain workplace readiness skills made possible by way of the priority areas of investment that you all continue to make for our youth and their futures. KYIP has been in existence since 2007. Tonight, I will provide a brief overview of summer 2026. Our summer session runs for 6 weeks. You can go to the next slide, sorry. I got to do all those things. Oh, I can use the clicker?
Yep, just
All
press the arrow.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So the goals of the program, obviously we have 4 main areas that have not changed since 2007. We're working on making sure that our youth have a hands-on workplace readiness experience, fostering that sense of resiliency. Many of them already have, and coming into the program is just highlighting that and emphasizing those. Networking and mentorship through our counselor and site supervisor engagement, as well as the community engagement that happens while they're in session with us. So throughout those 6 weeks for the summer, we start at our academy period. And this summer, we strive to respond to past year's requests of our youth asking for more engagement. And so this summer, we had experts from Region 10, Student Assistance Program, Youth Next, our UVA Community Credit Union, City Manager's Office, the Economic Mobility Officer, CNF Bank, Virginia Career Works, Mahogany Friends, as well as various site supervisors that provided a panel for our interns. All in all, this experience does provide interns an opportunity to set them up for success before they actually get in the workplace, building upon their professional communication, financial, and leadership skills. Prior to Academy, we host a family night, and this is our second summer doing so, where we really have a chance to connect with youth and their families, getting paperwork completed, as well as having a meal with them. We had a spotting of Deputy City Manager Roman that night, and it was awesome to really just have, once again, a collaboration of all of our partners. Talking through some demographic data, numbers aren't really my thing. We really speak to the quality of the experience that we are providing our youth. So of course we have the goal to really host 200 total interns this summer. We did have an applicant pool of 320. And so we will make sure that we get there throughout the school year. We will continue to build upon our site offerings, since we do offer those sessions throughout the school year. So 149 city applicants were accepted into the program. And then we implemented a screening process. 149 of those applicants were city applicants. We did implement a screening process just to make sure that we could really get everybody a quality interview experience. After they apply to our program, we do offer them an interview. So to do that, we screened out those that were not old enough to participate by the time the program started. You do have to be 14 before our start date, as well as schedules and like the overall commitment. We accepted 152, 87 total city residents came on board this summer, and we strive to offer acceptance to all of the applicants that meet the criteria of age, schedule availability, interests, as well as our site compatibility offerings. Other demographic data, we had 80 male participants, 72 female participants. Most of our interns are in that range of 14 to 16, with our 14 and 15-year-olds being at the highest. And this really is just a testament to what we're striving to do at KYIP, and that is giving those first, second-time experiences. We had about 30 interns return to us. If they're a city resident, they can participate twice. So we had about 30 interns that did come back, and then we encouraged them and, followed them along their journey to find their next employment opportunity. Our program is diverse. It is a representation of what the city looks like. So we appreciate that we have the space for all of our youth who feel like yes, I want to do this, or if they have an adult that is encouraging them to apply or make them, we love to see everybody. Our data for free reduced meals, this is just, a quick chart to just show. I know it's a little different now since some of our schools offer free meals anyway. But again, reiterating that our platform allows you to show up as they are. They make a goal with us, they get a resume, and we celebrate them as they reach that goal by the end of the summer. Some highlights for the summer 2026. We did have a 92% success rate. We celebrated paydays thanks to the Jefferson City School Foundation for giving us space to do that. We really make a big deal out of our paydays, just because for some of them, this is their very first paycheck. Their families come, take pictures. It's a really great time. We did host a t-shirt design contest for our interns during Academy Week. We had 5 total submissions, and this is the one that won here. And so that hopefully you'll see them around, and you all are welcome to have one as well if you haven't got one already. We did have 102 site partners to come on board with us this summer, 98 banking bonuses. And the banking bonuses is when an intern can prove that they have a bank account, whether that is prior to starting with us or by the end of the session. So we were able to issue 98 of those. And then we were able to have 11 counselors, which is amazing. Again, honing in on that quality experience. 2 of those counselors were once KUP interns, so my heart, it was really a great time to just see them in action after being part of the program. 10 of our interns were hired at their sites. 8 earned certifications, whether that was in Barbicide, the Serve Safe, really just honing in on whatever they could capture, including the formerly ready to work. We did have Paris Jones as our graduation speaker. For those of you who don't know him, he is a former UVA running back and trauma survivor. So he didn't get to join us in person, but his speech was still great nonetheless. We also had Sam Sanders, city manager, come and share some words with our interns. So we'd love to have a graduation where everybody just comes to celebrate as a community. And really it is about that, right? We talk about what it takes to do KUP, and it is a lot of work. We just finished, had our end of our session on August 12th, and just coming on, looking at our site partners for here in the city, local government, like it is increasing. And we're looking all across our community here to jump in and provide some youth support. So the asterisks, that just means that an intern was placed there, and for whatever reason, they weren't able to complete the session with us, or even start for that matter. But special thank you to the city manager, economic mobility officer, Abby Matthews Wade, the clerk of council team, the Office of Sustainability, as well as budgets and grants for their work. And really, the picture that you see here at the top, those young people were right here practicing, doing the very thing that I'm doing at this mic, with speeches that they were very, passionate about. I tried to get one of them to actually come and speak to y'all tonight, but you will see him. I feel like, if I recall correctly, he is the school board student rep. So all the great things that our youth are doing, and really and truly just giving them opportunity. So looking forward, as far as recommendations go, still peeling through all of our data. So we do exit surveys at the end for our interns and for our parents and site supervisors. And so pulling all that information together, some of the highlights for sure is keep KUP going. Like, our youth love it, our families love it. Our site supervisors, it's a lot of work for them that they are giving up their time and sacrificing for, but really and truly that is like the main underlying. And people are like, is this in the county? Some say, like, can we do it again and again? Like, the comments are in there, and I will make sure that you all get a more thorough report as you have in the past. But as far as our interns, again, they just want to keep it going. They all appreciated the opportunity to build their confidence, their communication skills, independence. Of course, waking up early for some of them was like one of the challenging things. And then just overall, like, we know that we need to continue working on our academy experience. One of the things that we're going to try and do for next summer is actually have some of them lead. And why not? They can do it. But really and truly just giving them that voice, especially for those that do return. As far as our site supervisors, again, they are volunteering their time. And, again, they say yes to this and they just give their all. So continue to finding ways to celebrate them, prioritizing their support. A lot of them appreciated the fact that we actually matched them very well with their interns. Sometimes it's just magic, y'all. And then we really taken their interest in all that good stuff for the youth. But as far as parents, man, y'all, this is the part that kind of gets me emotional because you never know, right? Like we try to keep parents say, hey, this is your child's first job, second job. Let's see what they can do. And so we try to keep them a little bit at bay, but what we end up learning is that they want to keep themselves at bay too. And so the parents, there was a grandmother that came and picked up a paycheck and just was in tears. She was so moved. She was like, his grandfather would be proud of him. He's passed. He had retired from the city and had hosted interns and shepherded along other employees. So it was great to hear that. One parent said, this program just keeps giving, and that I just hear that in my head. Because I do feel like that is what we're about. We want to just keep giving as many opportunities and experiences as possible for our young people, especially because they show up to this opportunity, right? Like we're out doing our recruitment as much as possible, but it is them that have to put in that application, do the interview, complete the 6 weeks. Other general program logistics, as the program increases, we have to try some different things, and hopefully that direct deposit option we'll try and work around. Utilizing the website FAQ page, we think will be helpful as well, just to get information out consistently. And then, as you saw in the data, like half of our applicant pool was Albemarle County residents. So like trying to figure out that piece of it. And because again, we don't want to turn away any youth as much as possible. But that financial contribution does have to come with it. A call to action, well, before the call to action, I just want to acknowledge that I don't do this work alone. I don't want to do this work alone. Of course, I have Misty Graves, our director, Charles C. Stratton, deputy director, Kamisha Spencer, the program supervisor. My little family's here, and anybody and everybody that is connected to CAEUP. Like, this work is not my work. This is all of our work, and for our youth, for sure. So thank you to everybody that makes any little contribution to make this thing go. Call to action. So this summer, our themes were inspire, momentum, and power. And these were, like I said, the driving themes for the summer. And I just want to leave you with this. Our young people inspire us every day. And as adults, we have the opportunity to inspire them, to dream bigger, lead with confidence, and recognize their own potential. Together, we have built incredible momentum through CAEUP and other youth development programs across our community. Now it is time to turn up the momentum, turning it into power, our collective power to invest in our young people, strengthen our community, and create lasting change. Let's keep moving forward together. And then I'll take any questions that you have.
Thank you again for another amazing summer. I just continue to hear great things about this program. It's one of the more visible things that we do as council to support and in the city. But I think one of the more powerful things it does is that the youth, they start to believe in the local government, that we support them. It's very tangible. So thank you. I know it's a lot of work to get to get the students together in summertime, to get them up and to get them energized to go work. But I never hear complaints. So other comments from council? I'll start with you, Jen. You want to?
Thank you so much. That was a really inspiring presentation. I was wondering about, so you have room for more interns. You're trying to get to your goal, but what about for more agencies or departments or organizations?
All the time, absolutely. We are doing site recruitment all year round. And the goal is really if they can supervise, provide meaningful experiences for the youth while they're there. So during the school year, we have the 8-week sessions. And then in the summer, we have the 6 weeks. So yes, anytime anybody wants to have a conversation, happy to do so.
Thank you.
Lloyd?
I really don't have any questions. I'm always intrigued to see what y'all are up to, and it's just an amazing kind of proliferation of good things happening. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Natalie?
Should someone be interested in becoming a site, sorry, what's the word?
The site supervisor?
Site supervisor,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. What is the best way for them to get in touch?
They can contact me directly. The website, charlottesville.gov/256. We'll have all that information. I love coffee. so we can always just start there. But yes, that's the direct way. And then we basically set up, a meeting to go over the process. In the summer, we do an orientation for all of our sites. But the school year, because it's not as busy, we can slow it down and bring people on board that way.
And then does someone from the city go and like check out the office or the work site?
We do site visits. Yes, ma'am. All that good stuff.
Okay, great. So folks who are interested in having an intern get in touch with you, and parents whose kids are interested know that you've got an eye on everything.
Yes. And we'll start our fall session September 15th. And so that application pool will open this Thursday, actually. So we'll keep it open for a few weeks for those that want to apply for the school year.
Great, thanks. And I should say parents and caregivers. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Michael?
No questions, just as always, an extremely impactful and successive program, and it's always great to hear it's been another successful year, and it just continues to grow and continue.
Thank you.
Anything we can do here on council to continue to support you?
Just keep doing what you're doing. And really and truly, I highlighted the city sites just because that is amazing that we keep growing that. I know it's been a hard push around but I think our interns really got a lot out of that. But yeah, just keep pushing for the site opportunities, for sure.
Yes, I did have one other question. I think you said we had 152 city students, was that?
Oh, for the applicant pool?
Yeah.
Yes.
So do we have the capacity for more? That's pretty much tapped out of what, of the students that really want to do it.
Yeah, for the applicant pool, it's a little tricky because what ends up happening is applicants may not show up for their interviews. They might have something else come up that they don't want to, don't have the capacity to participate in KIP. So no, always, I would say start there for applicants, and then, we're able to hear more about their schedules and whatever else.
So do you go into the 8th grade and high school, classes or, I don't know, assembly programs and say, this is an opportunity, here's the deadline of how?
We do, yeah. Okay. So, of course, targeting the city schools, because that's where all of our money is. So we target the Charlottesville Middle, and then the high school. Yeah. And then we'll tap into our referring agents, community partners, Abundant Life, everybody that has 14 and up connection. We're getting that information out to them.
Yeah. When I was working, I did it for many years, and it was just amazing. I still keep in touch with the interns that I had, so it's amazing impact. So
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ragland.
You're welcome.
And DHS team.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Next is a storm debris report based on the weather we just had. Our Public Works Director is here to share information for you all as council as well as the public.
And we haven't been outside yet tonight, so
Yeah,
if there's
so it
any
sounded like
updates
it
we
was
need to know
Probably a
about.
little more out there.
I believe 250.
Are our bikes still there?
I know.
Homes are up. Well, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, councilors, and Mr. Sanders. I'm going to be quick, just like the storm was, and so I'm going to just, must have already pressed the wrong button. All right, so we did go assess over the weekend as well as wrapped up a ride earlier this morning, and there is debris throughout, obviously, and it's mainly focused on these two neighborhoods, Greenbrier and Locust Grove, and so as a result, we will be allowing residents to bring out debris at least until August 23rd. That's going to be the cutoff date. In the presentation, I'm going to tell you our target response, some of the clear guidance that needs to be provided, and how we're going to focus on the cleanup. So the response is based on the hardest hit areas in the city of Charlottesville, and it's two neighborhoods. It's going to be 7 days. Actually, it started today. We already have the sweepers out there, and also a lot of other neighborhoods or residents are already bringing out debris. And I just want to remind everyone, the cutoff date is the 23rd, Sunday. This is not a citywide debris collection program. This is just focused in the community here and the map. A news release will be going out tomorrow morning. It'll also have a link to this map so you can zoom in better, but also it also will give you some more deeper guidance on what you can bring out. So the city will collect only storm-related tree branches, limbs, and vegetation debris. The maximum branch length is 10 feet. The maximum diameter is about 6 inches. And it's storm-related only. Routine yard work is outside the special collection. I've been managing debris type of events for a long, long time, and typically this does not mean an opportunity to clean your yard up or get rid of old firewood or a shed that was torn down a couple years ago, and now you're going to bring it out. So it's going to be placed in front of the residency where it originated. If a contractor is removing large trees or large branches or deciding to go ahead and daylight some of your trees for you, that will be the responsibility of the contractor. What we ask you to do is stack it neatly the best you can. We want you to be safe. Place it at the curb or the shoulder, whatever is appropriate for your property. And we want you to protect the access. We want to keep the streets, the sidewalks, the gutters, the drain, all the driveways. Any fire hydrants, don't block that. Mailbox, poles, vehicle, sight line, and overhead lines clear. Just do your best to look out for everyone when you do this. So, the picture on the left, that's how we would like you to stack it. Now, we know that's not going to happen, but we also know people are going to stack it like on the right and try to avoid it. We know things happen. But this is one of the better pictures. It's in front of a fire hydrant, sidewalk, and a drainage. So you can't go wrong with that one. They've hit, of the 5, they did 3 of them, no. Now, this is a real picture. This was this morning. This debris, when we come by, if we see a mixture of 2x4s, firewood, and other debris, we will not pick this up. We will, yes?
Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead and finish off.
Oh, okay. All right. We will leave that there, and we'll ask you to, even our bulky pickup program would not pick this up. This would be something a contractor would have to do for you.
So now I'll ask my question. Just to clarify, a branch fell on my neighbor across the street's property and it took out their fence. So it is storm debris, but it's also manufactured or engineered wood or lumber, not debris. So if they wanted to get that fence dealt with, their only option is private contractor?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good question, though. All right, so non-vegetative material also, typically we'll see a variety of household trash. We'll have furniture, construction and demo materials we talked about, fencing and lumber, and no chemicals and hazardous materials. You can't bring out your paint. And then the vegetative materials outside limits.
It fell from the sky.
Whole trees and root balls, stumps, logs or trunks, loose leaves and grass clippings, and again, routine yard waste. Our staff will be doing this, so they're very familiar with what looks fresh and what looks old, and we're going to do our best to pick everything up. We ask if you have any questions to call our Public Service Division, 434-970-3895. And you will see a lot of our street crews out starting tomorrow until all this is cleaned up. Any questions?
Thank you for the pictures and the detail, what is allowed and what's not. That's going to be real helpful for the public. You had questions?
Yeah, quick question. I really appreciate that it seems like we're trying to keep this clean debris, nature, recent, all of that. What happens to it once it's collected?
So we take it to Paramount Farm, and then also we take, depending on what it is, to the GFL landfill. And they'll grind it and potentially use it for mulch. That's why it has to be clean.
Great, okay, thank you.
Michael, you have any questions? No. Lloyd?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say, yesterday I was out talking to one of your employees who was standing by the tree that was blocking Yorktown. And we were talking, and he mentioned that he had he had helped somebody out on my street on Hillwood Place. I'll just say for the record, I don't have any storm damage. This has no benefit to me whatsoever. So, and he had made some comment about having helped them because this woman had come out and said, "Well, I've got a 90-year-old husband. Can you move this log for me? I can't move it." And so he did. And of course, he didn't have to, but he did. And then just by chance, I happened to talk to her, and she was full of praise for how wonderful your Public Works employees were, how they came and moved the log that she couldn't move. And that's just the sort of thing that I was just very glad to report. I wanted to let you know that your folks are doing good things out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm very appreciative, and yes, our folks were out there, but as Mr. Sanders also recognized, the whole team that was involved, as the emergency management, public utilities, park and recreation, police department did a lot, and our fire department. So without everyone, I don't think we could have been able, the first initial push or recovery would have been able to perform it without everyone's help. But thanks, I will pass that on.
Yeah.
Go City Team.
Yeah. Jen, did you have anything? Thank you so much. I'm sure that number will be, people will be calling that number, so.
Yes, and they'll be emailing you all.
Yes.
So
Yes,
we'll work through it.
All right, next is a homelessness update from Assistant City Manager Roman.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, and our community. I am here just to give the brief update, as I have done the past two council meetings. So with that said, I want to talk a little bit first about the encampment outreach that continues. 5 additional assessments have been completed for a total of 43 assessments. 4 applications for SNAP has been taken care of, 6 ID applications, 1 Medicaid application, 7 intake connections to Home to Hope, 2 dogs within the encampment received medication and provisions for food, 5 food and clothing connection has been made, 5 phones distributed, and 1 Health Connect America connection was also made.
What does that mean? What Health Connect America?
Mental health services. A little bit about internal logistics. New signs were installed with updated messaging regarding the encampment closure. Our Parks and Recreation team continues daily trash collection and provide garbage bags upon request. The dumpster, hand washing stations, and portable restrooms continue to be serviced with the general 3-day cadence. Weekly internal coordination meetings continue. We've had one last week, and our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m., where we maximize our internal connection and coordination. Last week, I told you we were embarking, or last council meeting, I told you that we are embarking on a process to develop so we can track costs. That process has been developed, so all costs associated with the encampment closure and cleanup and restoration, we have that in place now. With the recent storms, our public safety teams assigned to the Ravenna Trail were able to engage with folks in the encampment to ensure maximized safety. This included trying to speak with them before the storm and obviously checking with them after the storm as well. Engagement. Our city continues to take the lead for emergency shelter operations while, of course, collaborating with all of our community partners to include the COC. Our goal continues to open Holiday Drive as close to September 1 as possible with a sustainable operating plan. That work continues. Our internal communications team has solidified a communications and engagement plan for the businesses near Holiday Drive. And as a result, CPD held a business summit with all of the businesses in the Holiday Drive area after the recent visit to include myself out to the business area. This event was well attended and designed to respond to concerns and create a partnership to address those concerns together. Sorry for the typo there. Frequently asked questions were last updated on 8/12, and those were also disseminated to the folks out at the encampment as well. It answers a myriad of questions, mostly derived from all that during the assessments, some of the questions that came up, most of those answers are on the frequently asked questions sheet. So, as I wrap up, our key takeaways, much like last time I reported out to you all, outreach efforts continue to connect individuals with services. Operational support remains in place while cleanup preparations continue. Planning for opening the temporary emergency holiday drive shelter definitely remains a priority, and community engagement and transparent communication remains a priority as well. Collaboration with our local providers, partners, COC, and beyond continue to be prioritized, and enhanced public safety presence is ongoing and likely to last throughout the closure. With that being said, I did not want to miss the opportunity for a what we need, transportation, meals, and staffing, obviously with our partners, specifically through the COC. Mechanisms to provide these items are already in place. And so just leveraging some of the things that's in place and directing them to a holiday drive is a focus that we're focused on. And with that being said, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Lloyd?
Was there any issue with any harm to anybody or harm to the encampment with the rains over the last few days?
Yes, there were some. Misty, feel free to jump up and help me anytime you care to. But in speaking with the police chief, certainly, and the fire chief, certainly those public safety patrols and presence that's down there did note some trees came over, some on tents, as well as debris as well.
The trees on tents would be the area further south on Zero East High?
Yes, Misty, are you able to bring some clarity to that?
I was just trying, if there are trees down, I would assume that was over on the tents that are on Zero East High, further down on south of the encampment? At the bridge? Okay.
Yeah. The pictures that I saw mostly included the debris at Free Bridge, yes.
Thank you. Was anybody hurt?
Not that we are aware of.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
How are we soliciting help for meals, transportation, and staffing?
Yes, great question. As I mentioned earlier, using the mechanisms that we have in place, for instance, Potcham and the Haven, just the normal protocols that they have. Obviously, we're trying to capitalize on those and just perhaps, where appropriate, divert those toward holiday drive. Same thing with transportation. We know that many of our congregations have vans that may be willing to help. So just having those conversations to see where that kind of resource could fit in, but obviously don't want to duplicate any work or overstep any work that is already occurring.
And I think we have opportunities as well for donations to stand up the shelter and the transition through CACF. So I think that is another option for, contributing to the cause.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Michael?
And it's not surprising at all, but obviously, very concerning to hear about the storm damage, because branches of those sizes very easily could have killed someone or resulted in serious injury, and very glad that did not occur this time. Along with that, obviously, as we know, in just recent years, there have been times the river's been 20 feet above its normal height, which has caused extensive flooding of the area, including flash floods. So when we know that there's an upcoming forecast involving extensive rains where, again, there's flash flooding risk where someone could have their belongings wiped away, or if they're asleep at night, die, what's our approach in terms of informing people of that risk, and if they are in a floodway that would be in the highest risk danger zone for a flash flood, what is our current outreach approach right now?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned in the past, we have set this up under the ICS format, and so there is a plan when we are expecting impending weather. The public safety teams that are down there are not just down there to maintain peace and order, but they're also down there for things just as you've described. So when we have impending weather coming in, those staff and that personnel engage with the folks in the encampment as well to warn and then check on after it's done.
And obviously, in recent weeks, there were 2 reported rapes in the encampment, including one involving the use of a machete. As those investigations go on, how are we approaching ensuring that for crimes like that occur, that the perpetrators are held accountable, as well as preventing future crimes?
Absolutely. Great question. As you may be aware, obviously in some of the incidents in which you've just described, arrest has already been made. So our public safety team...
Ma'am, please.
So our public safety teams obviously do everything they can to, number one, show compassion toward the victims of these crimes, and then 2, aggressively investigate to hold the people that committed the crimes responsible and ensure that they are brought to justice. So that's the primary responsibility of our public safety teams, and I can assure you that they are committed to just that.
They wouldn't be out there if y'all didn't send the invites.
And
Make sure you add that now.
Excuse me, sir, please.
final question, as something that came up earlier, just to confirm, at any point at which Holiday Drive is opened, it will pass fire inspection, safety codes, go through a full building inspection. Just want to confirm that would be the case. There's a concern raised about fire sprinklers.
Absolutely. As you may be aware, our building official is very strict, and his primary concern is making sure that anyone who is in 2000 Holiday Drive is in a safe environment. So the answer to that question is absolutely.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, thanks. For the note about public safety teams assigned to Ravenna Trail,
Where they at?
is that, are you referring here specifically to police officers on patrol, or have public works crews been down there?
Police and fire. I would consider public safety as police and fire, and so...
And do I know Lloyd and I once left an event and a tree had fallen on power lines and the fire department came. Are they the ones who are tasked with the chainsaws and
They told us they won't.
removal, or would that be Public Works, or is that a private contractor? How does that work?
Yes, that would be more of Public Works to do that. So obviously, public safety would respond initially, assess, and then lean on Dominion and other partners to ensure that the problem is taken care
And
of.
so are our Public Works teams planning on going down there for any trail clearing or debris removal?
Yeah, so the first thing, obviously, for us to do is to ensure that there is no imminent threat. And as we conduct our internal meeting, obviously conversations have already occurred, but as we conduct our internal meeting, we will definitely finalize like what needs to be done, when it's going to be done. Those conversations are already occurring, but we will finalize those in our internal meeting on this Thursday.
So Public Works won't be able to get there until after Thursday at 2?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Saying we've already had those conversations, and so just assessing that in terms of priority, the storm,
What about people with
hit.
children tents on? Where they gonna stay?
The storm hit several areas as well, so it's a matter of prioritizing those, assessing what is imminent, and then assessing those. So at some point, yeah, I'm sure Public Works will definitely visit the area and remove what needs to be removed.
Okay, thanks. And then our emergency preparedness team, is that what they're called? Are they involved in these conversations, or just, do they have a plan for this area with regard to storms?
Yes, as I had mentioned earlier, we are operating under the ICS format. Our emergency manager, John O'Brandy, is very involved, attend every meeting, and actually facilitated through public safety how we would handle responding to a storm, both pre and post. And so, yes, there is a plan in place to ensure that we do the best we can, obviously, with alerting people when there is a storm approaching, and obviously check on folks after who opt not to leave.
Okay, thanks. And it seems like the last several days have anything to say. This is a pattern probably for the rest of the week. The afternoon storm getting a little more aggressive than usual in the summer. You know, that's the typical Charlottesville weather pattern, is the summer storm, but these have been a little rowdier than the last several years. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update.
And the last update before I give my report is Mr. Freeze is going to speak about the request regarding the slave marker.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Wade, members of council. The Historic Resources Committee is charged with encouraging and coordinating the documentation and interpretation of local history. Based on this mission, the HRC has worked to advise council on the sign proposed to memorialize the sale of enslaved persons at the No. Nothing building in Court Square. The HRC met last Friday and prepared a draft letter to council offering their recommendation, but lacked a quorum allowing them to vote as a body to finalize the letter and provide it to council. The working draft of the letter offers context and asks critical questions to aid in reaching what is recognized as a shared objective to accurately present the city's history of the sale of enslaved individuals at Court Square. Towards this objective, the HRC led the effort to create the state historic marker that was recently placed at Court Square and recognizing that sales of enslaved individuals occurred throughout Court Square, including at the No. Nothing building. While the HRC letter, in its current kind of working draft format, emphasizes the shared objective, it does identify concerns with the current proposal. These concerns center on historic accuracy and on the idea of limiting to a single site the broader story of enslavement at Court Square. The decision on the proposed memorial rests with council, and you have the option of moving forward by placing this item on an upcoming agenda or waiting for the HRC to finalize their recommendation, which would occur at their next meeting.
Thank you. So I'm sorry that some of the speakers that were here before had to leave. I would support waiting for the Historic Resource Committee to officially vote on it, but I'd like to get input from.
Does the Historic Resources Committee at this point even have enough members to have a quorum?
Yes.
It does?
Yes.
Okay.
It has 7, and we appointed another one tonight, 8.
Okay.
This
Sure.
does have 10.
I'm happy to wait. I do hope we're just, whatever our final decision is, just able to make one.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Vice Mayor?
We've been able to see a draft of the letter, which was informative. Are we hesitant about releasing the draft of the letter until there's a quorum to confirm?
It's not, it's only a working draft until they voted on it.
Yeah, okay.
And I have a copy of that letter. It's been modified since you guys have seen it.
Oh, okay. So very much working. Okay, thank you. Yeah, then we had asked for the Historic Resources Committee to take another look. We appreciate them doing that, and we would continue to appreciate them getting quorum so we can have a final report. Thanks.
Yeah. Lloyd?
I just want to say I am ex officio a member of the Historic Resources Committee. I was not at the meeting on Friday. Wouldn't have had a vote even if I were. Ex officio members don't have a vote. I will tell you that the sense that I had tried to convey to the members of the Historic Resources Committee in other contexts was that basically we hope that they all would do history correctly, rigorously, and then give us the recommendation based on their assessment of the historical accuracy and all those kinds of issues. And if we end up doing politics on top of their history, that's our job, but it's not their job. And so we'll see what their final analysis is from the historical context.
Agreed.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So we're going to wait to the historic, when do they meet again? When did you say? I'm not exactly sure.
They meet once,
Second week
a
of,
month.
yeah, second week of,
Yeah.
second Friday of each month.
Okay,
Right.
great.
So I'll notify the parties that have reached out to me repeatedly in reference to that they've been waiting on me to move, which I move when you all advise me to, so I'll be able to fill them in on that.
Sam, which,
One of each.
does she?
I guess.
It's two. You're getting both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Remy's going to pull up a couple of things before he actually gets to my slide. I'm sorry, David's going to pull up the FY26 work plan,
The one with the highlighting.
the one with the highlights, yes. And before I do that, I want to take a moment to introduce a new team member. Joshua Barr has joined us. Joshua will serve as the Chief Prosperity Officer. So he will be working hard. He started today. He was bombarded with a lot of work that Steve told him he had to get to work on. So tomorrow he'll be released to get to work. But Joshua comes with a very nice resume, a history that I will indeed expect that he will share with you as he interacts with us, talking about our various prosperity priorities, which is lifting everyone in our community. And we definitely look forward to having him here. He just got here last week.
Right.
Just got here last week, so he still doesn't know his way around. So he'll get lost a little bit, but that's a good thing. He can find his way through neighborhoods as well in doing that. So welcome, Joshua.
And
All right.
just for the community members who may be watching or familiar, what does that position do?
So that the Chief Prosperity Officer is equity by another name. It's still the same equity work that you all knew that was created when the Deputy City Manager position was originally established. This is the reset for when I reorganized the office in October of last year to keep a dedicated staff person, cabinet level, meaning an advisor to me, working with all parties, all departments on various initiatives. Joshua will be responsible for supporting the Office of Human Rights, the Office of Police Civilian Oversight, our ADA team, as well as he will be responsible for a body of work of his own. I refer to it as the laboratory. So that is the work that we will be looking at, exploring ways that we can help various aspects or members of our community in different ways. An example of that is right now we're part of an initiative to help close the gap on child care access. So we're in a national cohort. Joshua will be a part of that conversation and other conversations, and he'll be asked to seek other opportunities for us to be a part of things like that that bring resources to the city of Charlottesville. So that's the job. David, this isn't the slide. This isn't what I want. I'm looking for the other document. It has the lines across it, but it has yellow highlights all over it. And I'll just go ahead, I'm going to move on so that we can get through everything, because this was probably the longest city manager's report since I've been here. But just want to take a look back at FY26. That is the purpose of the work plan, is to track the work that we're planning to do, get that work done, and then show you the results. And then we're going to look ahead on another document as to what the current fiscal year plan is. And then we'll go through the actual slide deck that I have for you as well. All of these documents that I have will be posted into the transparency portal on the city's website in the morning. So anyone that's curious about them, council, you've received the two actual documents. Earlier this month, I completed my third year as a city manager. It's a moment that's never lost on me when I think about the awesome responsibility that I have to care for the 46,000 individuals who call Charlottesville home and the many thousands more who visit on a daily basis. Their well-being is important. It causes restless nights, and it also causes me to run away and seek freedom in other places every now and again. So I'll share that too. Actually, David, why don't you just pull up the slide deck that you had up initially, and I'll just go with that. What I'll remind the public of, for those of you that have seen the work plan before, it is a laundry list, as Councilor Snook likes to refer to it as. It's meant to be a reflection of things that I am actively working on as the city manager, as well as my team in the city manager's office, as well as directors across the organization. It's meant to be a good snapshot of what 1,100 employees are working on over the course of a year. And the intent is for it to be an accountability document. I produced the document at the beginning of the fiscal year. I give you quarterly updates, so I'm tracking our progress by month. And then we conclude the year, and then we roll right into the next year. That approach has been rolled out to my leadership team. I've asked all leaders in the organization to produce a work plan to capture how they plan their work in association with the budget that they've been allocated, the resources that they need to do the work that they've identified as the priority. So when we look at these sets of slides, I'm going to just walk you through what we have here. So I produced the work plan every year, as I mentioned. Here we go. So in FY24, when I started, the theme that I set for that year's work plan was stabilizing and strengthening. With a destabilized C-suite, I'm the 7th city manager in 8 years. I was crazy enough to take the job. And I've now had it for 3 years, so I feel good about that. We've calmed some things down. Uncertainty fueled a lot of turnover. We had a lot of folks who were leaving the building, and not a whole lot of people were wanting to come into the building. That caused tension throughout the building, and there was clearly a need to calm down. And you all remember the infamous phrase from Mr. Michael Rogers, "Bring back boring," which has been my specialty. 2025, this isn't working. Thank you, David. 2025 was focused on communication, collaboration, and coordination. It was to slow down and plan, to bust silos across the organization, just helping individuals realize that working alone isn't the best way to get this work done. Tell others what you are doing, where you're going, and bring them with you is what has been expressed as expected. And I've also asked that people stop assuming things, because I've heard a number of assumptions about what council wants, what the city manager wants, and I've made it clear that you need to ask the question and you'll get an answer. Next slide. FY26, our last fiscal year, was focused on implementing our plans. We are good at having plans. I know you all are frustrated at times by the number of plans that we have, Councilor Fleischer. And the goal was to implement those plans. So part of the focus has been on making sure that our team appreciates that it is not really about getting the plan done, it is about implementing the plan. And if we can't implement the plan, then we probably should have never produced it in the first place. We need to make sure that we work on a reset so that it's realistic. No is an answer. I've shared that many times. It has not been a thing that we have done a lot of. We've said yes to everything, and then we are unable to do the things that we've said yes to. I've made sure that I prioritize for our team to appreciate that sometimes no is the answer, and it doesn't mean no forever. It just means no, not right now. We're looking to link our plans for a sign of good work and report. It is important that we don't miss the accountability requirement that if you're going to produce a plan, you need to talk about how well it's going or not. Next slide. So over the past 3 years, this is what building a 3-year tenure has been for me. It's been rewarding to see that our team has responded to these things. We have gotten better in a number of ways. There's still a lot of work to do. So now we turn to FY27, our current fiscal year. Next slide. The theme for this year is strategic execution. Next slide. You ask, what is that? Strategic execution is really about being able to be consistent and make sure that quality is our focus. Next slide. When you think about strategic execution, you need to have well-formulated plans, coordination of people and process. You need to measure and monitor, and you need to give progress reporting. Next slide. This is your vision. It's one that you set. It is one that I value and believe in. Our team knows it. Everyone is saying it on a regular basis. Next slide. And strategic execution is how you get that done. So here's just the top 5 of the things that we're working on in this fiscal year. And when you look at these things, there's nothing small on this list. And I always remind you all that the city of Charlottesville is punching above its weight class. And this is an example of that. When we have homeless interventions, transforming transportation, supporting our schools, arts equals culture, and safety and security. There's nothing small about anything on that list. There's nothing easy about anything on that list. And then, of course, I have to be the fiscal responsible person that I am and say there's nothing cheap on that list. Next slide. Homeless intervention, we're working hard, furiously on 2000 Holiday Drive with the goal to open soon. If we get this thing open as we have planned, it will exceed all expectations because no one would have been able to expect that the doors would open to this facility this year. Next slide. We're transforming transportation. We're adding bus amenities like the shelter you see at the top. That's a bad version of the picture about the EV bus at the bottom, but we have our EV buses in place and we're rolling those out both in the public transit side and on the school pupil side. And the goal is to continue to work on making sure that our network is reliable and efficient. We have big projects underway. The citywide mobility study is going to bring all transportation initiatives together. As I mentioned, we're deploying our buses, our EV buses, our bus shelters, and we're in the throes of drivers. I welcomed our new team this morning in orientation, and half of the room was drivers for CAT. So it was quite nice to see that and to hear that, to see that we are successfully adding those individuals to our team. Yes?
How many drivers are we up to?
I don't know. We can get you that number.
Sure.
But the number in that room looked like we were probably halfway to what we're looking for right now.
Great, thank you.
Next slide. Supporting our schools, these are pictures from CMS. I know many of you were able to participate in Friday's final version of opening the middle school, which is great. So the middle school is now completed. Reconfiguration was realized with the opening of school this session. Collective bargaining has been activated, and there's a sales tax referendum that people are talking about, and it equals opportunity if it should pass. So there's a lot going on in the support of our schools at this time. Next slide. Arts Council and a Public Art Commission, those are things that we have on the list, and Mr. Freeze knows that he's got to find some extra time somewhere, so he can't sleep a couple hours a week and try to get this done. But the goal is to bring both of these items to you because you've made it clear that you want them. So I just labeled them coming soon, James. You got to do that, make that happen. Next slide. Safety and security, because any local government has to stay focused on that as one of its key priorities. It's a quality of life priority. This badly designed version of what I did here was just to indicate that coordinated emergency management is important. As someone who came here from the Gulf Coast, you never know when it's coming, you never know how bad it's going to be, and the forecast is usually off. But the thing that you don't want to learn is how bad it could be and not have a plan. We have a coordinated emergency management priority, all under the leadership of our Assistant City Manager, Sam Roman, who is a public safety expert himself. And what we have done with the portfolio that's been put under his guidance is have our police, fire, emergency management, social services, and human services together, all in one coordinated system. It is meant to be that so that we can rely on one another. And again, this is an example of the silo busting that we have to do in order for us to serve our public well. Next slide. A few signs of progress, just a few pictures. I didn't put a whole lot. So next slide. Great things are happening here in our city. Next slide. Sam does not take himself
If
very
we go back,
serious.
actually, there's a picture of Councilor Fleischer in a green cape.
I know. I was talking about me not taking myself serious, but she is standing there with a green cape. David, go back one slide so people can see that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Right there up front.
Yes,
That's
there it is, a green
looking like
cape.
a bike
We have to
superhero.
celebrate Bike Month whenever we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is
So,
great.
And
next-
our bike ped coordinator in a Wonder Bread onesie.
Yes. So it's infectious, that not taking yourself serious. So I was on a bike myself because people have asked, do I ride? I have and will do more.
Hey, Sam, was it fun?
It was fun, and I didn't fall.
Was it useful?
It was, absolutely.
Thank
Next slide. Again, I remind everyone, council's vision for this community is to be a place where everyone thrives. Next slide. Strategic execution this year is how we're going to work to realize that. Next slide. And organizational excellence is what you can all expect, and that is quality and consistency. That's what we strive to provide on a regular basis. That is it. Any questions that you all may have?
Any questions from anyone? Michael, any questions or comments?
Just a few quick ones. One, I would encourage anyone in the community who's interested in the work that city government does, just to check out the work plan. It's something that you could review and really see in depth all the different things that the entire organization is working on, because it really is a tremendous amount of things, a lot of things that maybe people don't, see in the press daily or are constantly thinking about, but it is happening. The only questions are just, at what point will we begin updating the work plan and council together with you kind of getting us to the next version of it?
So I have always been committed in my tenure here that every quarter I'll give an update, a status report. So that's me going through the document and updating the status column. And that's where you see progress that we're making, and the notes section is where I'll talk about where things may be happening and or difficulties that we may be facing. As it relates to revising the work plan layout, format, size, I think there's a different version of it that I will engage with council on, more of a simplified version, because I know that there's an interest in being more tactical in some key things. What I've done if you look at the two documents together, you'll see that they're laid out differently. There we go. The original document from last year is tied to the commitment to community prosperity and each of the strategic outcome areas, all 9 of those. What you see in the FY27 work plan is the transition. Earlier this year, you all set 5 strategic goals, so I have converted the work plan to embrace those 5 goals. So now it's actually a little bit shorter than last year, because then the focus is to be a bit more targeted and therefore measuring a little bit more impact. What I will open as an opportunity for us in the coming weeks is to take a look at the new version of the document and integrate things that you all would like to make sure are listed there, and then we can determine if they will make significant progress or what level of progress can occur, and then I will begin tracking those and reporting those to you quarterly going forward.
Mm-hmm. And I personally, don't necessarily have an issue with a longer document because there is just a lot of really specific stuff.
Yeah. It's all stuff that we're doing. There's nothing on there that we're dreaming about doing. Everything on there is practical. Everything on there we've deemed necessary. Like with adding Joshua to the team, now we have somebody to pick up that body of work and make sure that everything that's on the list can begin to be juggled. He has a skill set, I understand, that he can juggle. Nobody told me that. I just assumed that. So we're going to try to see if we can't test that.
And the only other, with the city's, our stated vision and these work plan goals, do we have any, for some of the larger priorities, like performance metrics of, when it comes to prosperity, I think of by every benchmark in terms of achievement gaps, our ranking in terms of our achievement gap relative to the state, differences in life expectancy, differences in wealth and income. We haven't made progress. So when do we, or how can we measure it in ways?
So where you are...
Are the investments working?
Sure. Where you are now is in the strategic planning section, and that is why one of my changes to the team was adding our Chief Strategy Officer, Jen Hendricks, whose job is to capture metrics across the organization and to help us then track how it's making an impact in examples of what you just identified. We are in the, I'll say, midway of that new process for us. The goal will be that council will have a new 3-year strategic plan that you will be spending time with probably in January forward. The goal would be that it would go live July 1st, 2027 for the next 3 years. And that's where you will see items like that, because the point of the strategic plan is to be the highest ranking document. The work plan is how we work to implement that document every single year of its existence. And then we start a process again when it ends.
Thank you.
Natalie, you have anything?
I would like to echo something Michael said about the work plan being a good resource for information. I would also like to say that the every meeting we get the city manager report. This is kind of the most expansive live presentation we've gotten. But there's pages in every agenda with all of the things that the city is working on that are up to date in the most recent activities. And so I do encourage the community to check out the city manager's report in every edition of the agenda, because there's just a ton of info and effort that has gone into all of the items that are listed there. So this is the brief, that is the biweekly update on what's going on. No, we'll spend some time with it and provide feedback, but thank you.
And remind everyone that that's what transparency looks like.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is, we're at the action items, is an ordinance approving a partial closure of Castelia Street. Mr. Duncan.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. Sanders. Tonight, what we have before you is a closure for Castelia Street. This is for a development project that has been proposed at 303 Palatine, as well as 221 Palatine. The property owner owns both of these parcels on either side of the current street. And they are looking to abandon this and then replat and access easement over top of it to connect to the existing alleyway that is on the north side. So that's kind of the background. We've noticed this, obviously, given the council's priorities for housing, and our ability as a city to kind of maintain that access easement to get back and forth from the existing alley. Staff's recommendation for this would be that for adoption of the ordinance, authorizing the closure of the 162-foot portion of the unimproved Castelia Street between 221 and 303 Palatine Avenue. The clerk of council send a copy of said ordinance with the attached plat drawing to the clerk of the city circuit court for recordation in the current street closing book. So the applicant is also here I think they wanted to say a few quick words about their project, and then I'll be here if you have any other questions.
Hey, I'll be really quick. I know it's late. That was a long report. It was great.
Thanks, Nicole.
Yep. So I'm Nicole Scrow. I'm here with Kelsey Schlein. We're the developers on this project. So we've got 221 Palatine, 303 Palatine. 303 had some platted Belmont lots within it already, but it just has, it's two single-family homes, and they're considered kind of two parcels under the GIS and tax world. But we are going to do 3 zoning lots on 303. You can kind of see there's 3 units. It's RA, so you can see them kind of delineated by the single families facing Palatine. And so there's 3 units on each of the zoning lots on 303, and then 221 has 3 units in the rear of an existing house. So it's 13 units in total. So we're really excited to bring to life the idea of infill under the new ordinance. I don't know how to click ahead. I'm sorry.
It's not working. Just ask him to advance it.
David. So this is just more information with more detailed information with the site plan. You can see there's a very large old stormwater pipe that goes across the Castelia. So we're gonna put a easement on top of that. And it would, functionally, it really will be mostly a public access right-of-way that will consist of that 50-foot right-of-way. It'll be about 22 feet for fire access, and it'll go from Palatine all the way through to the 12-foot alley in the back. If you could go to the next slide. I don't have too many slides. It's just, this shows that, and if you click again, it shows where 303 and 221 are on this GIS map. And then you'll see where Castelia cuts and bisects both of those properties. And
you'll see 918 and 1000 Rockland, that part of Castalia, as the other part on the opposite side of Rockland, were closed in 2000. So there's nowhere, in other words, there's nowhere for Castalia to go except for that alleyway, and we are going to preserve that alleyway. So all of the pedestrian and vehicular and whatever access you would like is going to be preserved. Another point is that that's an unimproved alley, but if anyone were to improve it, we would preserve that connection. So there's no benefit of interconnectivity beyond the development parcel itself. So if you keep going, if you keep clicking, you'll see I just highlight where the Castalia, as it goes through further up towards Rockland, it is closed and just consists of 1000 and 918 Rockland. If you keep going, I think this is the actual plat that will be recorded. So the first step will be to vacate Castalia. The second step, if you keep going to the next slide, will be to preserve the utility easement I talked about earlier, as well as the new public access easement of 22 feet that goes all the way through from Palatine to that 12-foot alley. So anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but we're here to answer questions. Thank you.
So, Jen, you have any questions on this?
Yeah, just because I walk by this every day, so I'm just, yeah, this is where the trailer is. Okay, so, right. That trailer has been there for a long, long time.
There's a story behind it.
I made up so many myself. I can't wait to hear what the real one is. Because right now, if you try and walk through that, you just kind of end up at that, I've only done it once, you kind of end up at the top of the alley, but there's a tree.
There's a very nice tree there, yeah.
Yeah, but so now there'll be the houses on the two sides, and then this will be like a paved thing between, but it will connect the top and the bottom. So now you'll end up at 1000 at the top of it, or?
So the alleyway doesn't continue to the north. So there's an alleyway that's east-west.
Yeah.
That's also unimproved. So this would connect to that if the city or a private developer ever decided to improve that alleyway. So we maintain that connectivity, but it wouldn't continue all the way through because that further northern alley has already been abandoned, and it's just the property of the two properties on either side.
Okay, that's what I was envisioning, coming from the bottom to the top. Okay, great, that makes sense. Thank you. Just needed a visual there.
Lloyd?
I guess the only question that I've got is that I remember a couple of years ago, I thought we had adopted a policy that we would sell this land to people, but we weren't just going to give it away. If we sell it, by my calculations, if it's 132 feet long and 22 feet wide, and the land is being sold at the same rate at which the adjoining property is assessed on a per square foot basis for the land, that would be about $60,528. And I'm wondering why we're not asking to be paid for the land that we're selling to the developer.
I mean, I don't know if that's a question for the city attorney. I know we did that for Clark Court. That one was an improved right-of-way. That was already an existing street. We are giving up that property, so I think if that's something that council wants to do is request the city attorney's office to go into negotiations on what that property's worth, that's well within your bounds.
I mean, I had thought, and of course, that Mr. Maddox wasn't here a couple of years ago, so we wouldn't have any direct knowledge of it, but we had a number of discussions, and Sina McGill was particularly strong on this point, that we shouldn't just be giving away city-owned real estate. They don't make any more of it. So I would think that we ought to be, whatever the going rate is, I would think if it's $16.90 per square foot, which is my calculation for what the adjoining property is, that would work out to about $60,528. And I would think that if we're going to have that policy, which I think is an intelligent policy, we ought to stick with it, and we ought to do it today.
We just, I think as part of the consent agenda, approved $750,000 from The Jeff-
From Clark Court.
Yeah, for something kind of similar, but
For my office's part, this has not come to us for evaluation or negotiations, potential sale. I will say the Clark Court, it was a dedicated city street maintained. This is an unopened alley, I believe, at the moment, so it might be a little, there might be some difference there. But if the council's decision, they want to kick it back, we'd be glad to look at it and see if, in terms of the policy, or see if it merits negotiation under that policy.
Well, the last time that I remember the issue coming before council was an instance where it was at the corner of 9th Street and Jefferson Street, and the property owner there wanted to buy a stretch of land that was owned by the city that was an artifact left over from when Avon Street and 9th Street had been widened. It was still owned by the city, and he wanted to buy it, and or actually, he wanted it given to him. And we said, well, on a per square foot basis, it's worth $34,000. This would not be the first time that we would have done this. I think that it's a good policy that we ought to be following. So I would recommend that be the approach. I don't know what that does to any action tonight, but clearly we couldn't vote on anything tonight without a lot of staff work going into it.
I would just indicate that you would need to be clear that that's a policy that you are asking for, because it does not exist today. It may be practice that has occurred here and there, but if we could, Mr. Mayor, make sure that we get enough of the direction, and we'll do the work on crafting said policy for going forward, and make sure that when it goes to the city attorney's office, it can be checked that way.
And I do
So
believe
it
there
is just kind of ad hoc at the moment.
there is a policy for street vacations. I do not, right off the top of my head, know for alley vacations, but the street vacation policy is what we followed in the Clark Court case. The only thing I can distinguish it right now off the top of my head is this is an alley that has never been opened, as far as I can tell. This is just something that was dedicated when it was platted, I would assume. So,
Yeah, I mean, so I guess this is relinquishing our ability to use it in the future. So it gets into a gray area, like John Max said. Clark Court was accepted. We, got state funds for it. We did maintenance on all this stuff. This was platted as part of the Belmont Plat 1901,
Sure.
whatever it was.
And there are a lot of those running
Yeah, there
around
are a
Belmont.
lot of those. So
And we've occasionally sold them, and occasionally, I don't know what we've done more often than other times, but there have been times when we have said, no, we're not going to vacate that, and you can buy it from us if you want.
I know up until 2019, we would just go through a closure process, and it would be split between the two property owners on either side. Basically, the city saying we don't want it. We're basically relinquishing our claim to it. That's kind of how I've looked at these through my years at the city. It's not necessarily that the city owns it, but the city has kind of right of first refusal on this. Like if we ever wanted to do something, it's there. We can use it if we want to. I don't know if that's the correct interpretation, but that's kind of been.
So
how
you're
I've
saying
approached this.
up to 2019, there was no money exchange for this kind of vacation?
Not that I'm aware of.
And then post 2019?
We've not had very many of them. Part of that 2019 excuse me, part of that 2019 policy became a scoring rubric because council didn't want to see so many of these, because there were a number of these that came before council, and they were like, we don't want to give up all these. We don't want to have to make a decision on this every other meeting. So essentially what it came down to, other than very slim parameters, unless it's like this project associated with an actual development. So we're getting something for it. We're not just giving something up. And the fact that they're putting in, an access easement here for us to maintain that access. So, I mean, this was platted. It was platted as a street. It was not platted as an alleyway. So I don't know if that changes either. I mean, this was a 50-foot wide street that never got built. Basically, we're turning that street into an alleyway with this 22-foot easement.
And then it essentially functions as a driveway, not as a street for the city to maintain?
Correct, yeah, we will not maintain this. There'll just be this access easement over top of it that, again, if we decide to do something with the alley that goes east-west, people in the city will have the ability to walk through this, driveway/alley to get to that.
Well, it looks like the plan that they've shown, they intend to use at least in one direction, the east-west alley as the access to the back.
That's a different, so the east-west alley that I'm talking about is at the far north end.
Oh, okay.
So they're creating.
There's the mid-block.
They're creating a mid-block driveway to get to the back side of the new units that they're building. So that will be fire turnaround for a portion of it, and then the rest of it will just be kind of private alleyway.
Yeah.
Or a private driveway.
Yeah. I'm going to, one of the reasons I'm going to support it is because we need more housing. We talk about streamlining the process and reducing the cost. This is, I think.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think if they're proposing 13 units here, I'd be very surprised if it was less than a $5 million project. $60,000 added on to a $5 million project should not be a deal killer.
But question is, if we were going to ask for money, how much time would it take to determine that value and enter negotiations, and how much additional time would that cost? How much?
Well, I mean,
what
I've suggested a number that is based on a technique and an equation that we've used before. I don't know how long it would take them to talk to the city attorney about it all. In theory, it could be possible to get it done in a week or two.
Would it have to come back in front of us?
At some point, sure.
Staff going to provide any perspective?
So we do have a 2019 street alley closure policy. There are exemptions in here. There's a whole scoring rubric. There's a process that requires negotiation through the city attorney's office. There's a lot of stuff with this that I'm not prepared right this moment to say what does and does not apply from standing right here. If you would like me to explore that, then I would suggest that you kick it back and that we look through that and we go through this process or see if it applies. I know that's not what anybody wants, but this is the first this is being brought to me in this manner. So.
Well, and I would suggest that we simply defer action tonight and ask the city attorney to just figure out what this policy is and see if they want to have some discussions with the developers and see where that goes. I mean, at the end, I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I just think that at a time when we have an asset that has value, it makes sense for us to try to get value for that asset. And the asset and the value should be more than simply, well, we're enabling them to make money by enabling them to make more housing. Let's get paid for our asset.
Let me hear from everyone else, so, yeah.
It sounds like just purely from a process level, and this is not the applicant's fault at all, but it sounds like we have an existing process, but we just did not do what we're supposed to do in terms of reviewing it before it got to an agenda item. Is that accurate? I mean, we have that existing
gone through
policy.
the city attorney's office first.
Yeah. Or to be able to go through that rubric and everything, because it sounds like we have the system.
Recognize that there is no city employee up here who was a city employee at the time that this policy.
No, I'm not trying.
We're not blaming any staff.
I'm not trying to be negative about it. It's just there is a policy to follow, and it's not the applicant's fault, but we do have that internal process.
I'm interested in hearing from the applicant, who seems ready to provide some comment.
Good evening, Mayor Wade, members of City Council. My name is Kelsey Schlein. I'm working on this project with Nicole. Yeah, I mean, we've been working on this project for 18 months and are, trying our hardest to get it done. I think I can understand your point, Councilor Snook, about getting compensated appropriately. However, that was not the process that is currently required. That is not a policy that's in place. We have checked every single box. We nearly have a fully approved site plan. We couldn't get before you without spending tens of thousands, many tens of thousands of dollars, nearly $100,000 on surveying, engineering, study, to get to this point, just for you to be able to consider this. Every delay extends that burden. And so if this is a policy that council wants, I would urge you to set the expectation with applicants up front. Thank you.
Jen, what are your thoughts? So we just want to determine
yeah.
whether we want to have staff to review this, or
I think for this is, I'm ready to go forward with giving up the alley and get the project going per the request. But I would want from here on in, this to be clarified and properly, not codified, but formalized, so that we can use it as a tool that would come before any applicant knowingly and would be considered in the review as, it would stop being a gray area or unknown. But for this particular project, with the due diligence they've done, and we just found out, I mean, it was obviously here, but we did not know about it. I think we need to do that for future self, but for this, we need to move forward on what we think for this project right now, which I'm willing to go for.
And let me just say, part of the problem I've got with this is that I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand why you thought the city ought to give you land for free. And if you're not willing to understand that concept, I don't understand why you would undertake a project like this on the assumption that the city was going to give you your land for free.
Well, I mean, I think it's not their responsibility to ask to pay more. It's the city's responsibility to catch that earlier.
If I may, the policy I'm looking at, this is what happened with Clark Court as well. Y'all authorized me to enter in negotiations following discussion at council regarding selling the street in that case. If that's what council would like to do, I feel like we could probably get that done fairly quickly as far as that goes. Now, as far as the formula that Lloyd's talking about that's employed in the past, I'll tell you with Clark Court, we went with the assessor, and then we asked for more on top of that because of the situation in that particular case. In this case, I think we would do the same thing. We would ask the city assessor what the value of that land would be, and then we would go with that price, would be my guess. So it wouldn't be a very long process if council wants to ask me to engage in negotiation on it. That would at least meet with this policy.
Did the folks at Clark Court were they informed that there would be a price from the beginning of the plans?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they knew there would be a price. We arrived on how we were going to get there, and then we actually put a little bit more premium on it because it was developed, and that was just how those negotiations fell out.
I'll just note, in the case of the Clark Court, they approached the city about purchasing the property. So they came in with the expectation in that instance. I'll just note, for what it's worth, I appreciate the thought that we should get money or compensation for public land. I will note the public access easement being offered by the developer is also a form of compensation that should be taken into account.
And I would also note, I think, the rubric we have is a big part of it is based on the fact that alleys can perform an informal amenity in terms of pedestrian access in the connectivity of a neighborhood. And that was part of that rubric is, if we're shutting down that, we don't want to do that. But in this case, we're both preserving and arguably expanding that inter-neighborhood pedestrian connectivity. I don't know. So.
Okay, so Michael, what are your thoughts? Do you want to have staff enter negotiations, or are you ready to, is this a public hearing?
It is.
after the public hearing, vote on it tonight.
And I don't know if it matters, but this is not in the agenda as a public hearing.
Right.
That was definitely an oversight. We noted, talked with the clerk of court beforehand. It was noticed as a public hearing, like the advertising happened properly. The staff report said as a public hearing. So we're confident going forward with the public hearing, even though it's not listed public hearing on the agenda.
Before the public hearing, I don't have any additional questions.
Natalie, what are your thoughts? Do you want to have staff enter negotiations or after the public hearing prepare to vote on it tonight?
Can you come back to me?
I think I know where Lloyd is, what your position. So I'm going to, if there's no other comments at this time, I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone from the public like to speak on this ordinance for this project? If not, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Yes, Vice Mayor?
I have a question for the city attorney,
Yeah.
but I think I would like to ask it privately. Is that possible?
You would have to go into closed session.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Then never mind.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's back to council. Do we want to have staff enter negotiations with this? I think Councilor Flesher and I think support voting on it. It tonight.
Go ahead.
And I think Lloyd is, would prefer to have staff to go into negotiation. So now we're on this side. Where so.
Yeah, I'm fine to vote on it tonight. Again, I do think that it would be best if we had informed the applicant from the start that we were going to put it through the rubric and have negotiations. But again, I feel like this is not the kind of project where the problems are emerging. The bigger problems are with the project that is going to, again, really close off the access of the alleyway or create other problems. So again, it's not my ideal, but I don't think it is the applicant's fault.
I support having a distinct policy moving forward. I think that is a good note. Yeah.
Can I get a motion on this, please?
I make a motion to adopt the attached ordinance authorizing the closure of the 162-foot portion of unimproved Castalia Street between 221 and 303 Palatine Avenue, and that the clerk of council send a copy of said ordinance with the attached plat drawing to the clerk of the city circuit court for recordation in the current street closing book.
Again, you second?
Second.
Okay. We're going to vote. The vote is,
I'm not seeing an option.
if it didn't come up, you can let her know.
My answer is no.
The vote passes 4-1. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is a resolution to authorize the city manager to execute a grant agreement pledging $3 million to Salvation Army for the Center of Hope Capital Campaign.
So council, this is an item long discussed and has caused a bit of confusion, but to clear it up, the matter is on your agenda this evening. The General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Virginia has earmarked $7 million to the city of Charlottesville to use for transitional housing and workforce development services. That $7 million was awarded to the city of Charlottesville with the intent by the senator who sponsored the bill to have a portion of the funding go to the Salvation Army for their Center of Hope campaign. The Salvation Army has, as a project that they are hoping to get started on, a plan for a 4-story, approximately 47,000 square foot building, which is an increase in capacity of 15,000 square feet. This will increase bed capacity from 55 to 114 beds, and an additional 7 two-bedroom suites will be included. It will also increase the Salvation Army's feeding capacity from 60 to 120 seats daily. The consideration of the $7 million is that the recommendation that it's been made to you is for $3 million of the $7 million allocation to go to the Salvation Army, indicating that as a match to what the city gave of your ARP funds a couple years back, making it a $6 million total contribution, city plus state, for the Center of Hope. That does not close the gap that they have, but it gets them significantly closer. Major and his team are here, board members as well. I'm sure they're appreciative of the notion. I've heard the same from them. Of course, they would have liked to have had more, but the remaining $4 million would be retained by the city to be used for initiatives that we would prioritize as transitional housing and workforce development for unhoused individuals ourselves, as there are other items that we have beyond 2000 Holiday Drive that we would like to focus attention on. So I will end there and just allow you all to ask any questions if you may have any. And as I said, the Salvation Army representatives are here if you want to ask them questions as well.
Thank you very much. We have always said that we need this expansion as part of our unhoused plan to address on any given night, 220, 230 individuals that may not have a place to lay their head. So I think this is a worthy thing that we're doing. I'm glad that the city can lean in to assist this so that we can move that much closer to be able to have a place for every resident to lay their head. So I'm glad that we're able to do this. I'll start with this end. Michael, do you have any questions or comments on this?
For the remaining, the unallocated $4 million, do we currently have any projects potentially in mind for that $4 million? And if not, what kind of projects would we be looking to invest in?
Yes. We have other projects in mind. There's negotiations attached to those, so I would like to keep some of that quiet, but the intent is that transitional housing is where individuals will go when they leave the shelter. So it is the next rung on the ladder. It may not be an opportunity that they are quite ready for full independence, but there'll be wraparound services that can continue to be available to those individuals. But it is non-congregate housing that we believe is an option that we can bring to light as well, and the $4 million would begin to be used for that purpose.
So in the overall, ecosystem of housing options and the definitions of transitional housing versus permanent supportive housing, the difference would be like Vista 29 is a unit someone could stay in. It would be their own individual apartment. They could stay there for years, however long.
They would have a lease and it would be an indefinite relationship.
But this transitional housing would be,
it's more
someone has their
shorter term.
own individual room, but it's limited in terms of how long they could live there?
Yes. So what we would be looking to explore is, would there be an opportunity for individuals to be able to have what we would consider to be a bridge from being unhoused to being able to manage full independence? So it could be an 18 to 24-month opportunity for them to have a place to call home and be served intensely during that time period is what we envision, and that's the work that we're also doing. Beyond 2000 Holiday Drive, this has been ongoing as I've issued my own commitment to this not being a one and done type matter.
Mm-hmm. Those are all the questions I have. I think to echo comments that others had made, we've always acknowledged that the Salvation Army is not the one only solution. I think the Salvation Army themselves would acknowledge that. It's a high barrier shelter versus Holiday Drive, which will be a low barrier shelter, but it is an important, critical piece of one option that needs to be available both for the high barrier shelter beds, as well as this project will include transitional housing, including units for families, as well as that ability to serve around 120 people daily with meals. And I also look at it in terms of our investment. We will not need to continue investment in ongoing operations of the facility, and our investment is only a very big and critical part, but it's not a majority part even of their full capital campaign and the full renovation cost. So I do think our return on investment for those additional shelter capacity, transitional housing units, and dining hall capacity are a good return on investment for the city.
Sure. And that builds on the notion of what I've said as well, as I've talked about the issue we face it here in this community, that we have underfunded this issue long-term. So we're playing catch-up at this point.
Natalie, you have any questions?
Yeah, thanks. I just, something that we've discussed internally, but want to reiterate for the benefit of the public. We've had people write in saying, why isn't this going to Holiday Drive? And that's because of the distinction between transitional housing and low barrier shelter.
Right.
This was specifically earmarked for transitional housing, which Holiday Drive is not.
Right.
Right. And then a question that we had, we appreciate this project and how it's going to fit into the housing ecosystem in Charlottesville, and we know it's going to be an important piece. But something that we've talked about also internally is it's not an independent organization being started for the specific reason of doing this work. The Salvation Army does a lot of work. It has a larger network. It also has a denominational element to it. And so something that we wanted to be sure about was that, and it says in the resolution, $3 million to the Salvation Army for eligible capital costs, but it doesn't expand on what those eligible capital costs are. And we wanted to make sure that our state and city money is going towards services and housing and not clerical work. Is that?
And that'll be
the
identified
case?
in the actual agreement, because there will be an agreement that we'll have to execute with the Salvation Army that is to be worked on. We didn't include a copy of that agreement because we have not received these funds yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to work with the State Department of Community and Housing Development as the entity that receives the political direction to execute that agreement. So Taylor Harvey Ryan will be working with that department to get everything squared away, and from that we will be able to generate an agreement, because the $3 million will have to be reflected in reports back to the state, as well as what we end up doing with the $4 million.
Okay, great. So this is essentially a note saying when we get it, you will
Yes.
get this, and at that point, we will have a more distinct.
Right. And as
outline of
Council Payne
uses.
indicated, their capital campaign total is $28 million. So we're talking about $6 million, of which we have control over $3 million, that we're indicating would not be used for any secular reasons, any religious reasons, I should say, not secular, I said the wrong word, any religious reasons, and we can indicate that.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Lloyd?
So the whole project is 28 million? How much have you all raised at this point?
The capital campaign is 28.
Just so that the public can hear.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Derek Alley. I'm serving as the Capital Campaign Counsel for the Hope Has a Place Capital Campaign, and thank you very much for your generous support of this effort. The capital campaign goal is $28 million. The capital campaign goal includes $22.2 million to construct the new Center of Hope, plus $2.2 million, 10% of the cost of construction, to furnish the Center of Hope, a $2.2 million addition to the endowment to create further sustainability and help maintain the new Center of Hope, and a small contingency fund of about $1.8 million that will ensure that the Salvation Army doesn't have to go back to the community and request further support once the capital campaign goal has been achieved.
I guess my question is, how far are you away from having enough money in hand to start the project?
So, City Manager Sanders whispered a question in my ear that's different than the question you posed, so I'll answer Sam's question first. Towards the goal, including the $3 million that we hope you will award or agree upon whatever term you all use.
Understood.
We'll have $21.3 million. That'll be 76% of our goal. Of that amount, $10.75 million has already been contributed. So we've received $10.75 million.
Does that include our first 3 million?
It does include your first 3 million. Does that answer your question?
Well, I guess, you know, your total of, I didn't follow all the totals, but it was roughly $28 million.
That's correct. That's the capital campaign goal, is $28 million.
Okay, and a number of those things are contingencies, and I guess my question is, are you going to wait until you get $28 million either in hand or steadfastly committed before you start building, or what? I mean, my concern is that if we end up giving you another $3 million, and now we're up to $6 million, and you're at 21, and our 3, including our
21.3 million, yes.
Okay, including our 6, and you've got contingencies that you are putting out there of roughly another 3.5 million, as I recall. One was a specific contingency, and the other sounded kind of like a contingency. I mean, are you going to wait until you get all 28 in before you get started? Are you going to say, well, you know, okay, let's say we get to 23, we're ready to go. We'll you know, the Lord will provide for the rest.
So the Salvation Army has been in Charlottesville for 114 years. There's one thing I can promise you from the Salvation Army Advisory Board currently, and that is there will be a new Center of Hope for the people in Charlottesville who need the programs and services provided by the Salvation Army. We are working very hard to wrap up the fundraising segment of this capital campaign by the end of August. The Salvation Army internally is a fiscally conservative organization because they have learned through the years constructing buildings around the world. And they have a couple of guidelines that we're following. One of those guidelines is that we have to have 1/3 of the cost of the 1/3 of the amount of the capital campaign contributed in cash. We have satisfied that requirement. The second requirement is that we have 100% of the cost of the of the goal of the capital campaign committed. We're working towards that now, while we also have in mind wrapping up fundraising efforts by the end of this month, or by the end of summer.
And I read a news account, which may or may not have any veracity to it, that part of this project is a chapel for which there was a price tag put of $7 million. Is there any truth to that?
The Center of Hope includes, as part of a capital campaign, many capital campaigns have recognition opportunities associated with them. The recognition opportunity amount associated with the chapel is $7.5 million, but that large space will not cost $7 million to construct. Furthermore, if we're going to end fundraising by the end of the summer, the Salvation Army is currently going through a value engineering process to make sure we can make good on our promise to construct a new Center of Hope and meet the needs that exist in this community and the 4 additional counties served by the Salvation Army. So the chapel, there was a chapel and there was a large multi-use space. To save some expense, those 2 areas have now been combined. But I promise you, the cost of the kitchen, the dining room, and 2 floors at least of congregate shelter, plus the family apartments that will be in the new Center of Hope, will absolutely cost more than $3 million to construct.
Thank you. Any other questions, Lord?
I guess not. No, thank you.
Jen?
what proportion of the Center of Hope is transitional housing?
Major Wilson, thank you very much. And as Derek was saying, thank you very much for your concern and thank you for your help so far. At the present time, we have plans for seven apartments for transitional housing. And we have the potential of adjusting and expanding. When we put together the plans for this, we understand that things change within a community as time goes by, and needs need to be adjusted occasionally to the demand. But at the present time, we have S7, which it fluctuates by the number of people who can stay in this. For example, our current family transitional housing program, we have one apartment with 3 people. We have another apartment with 6 people in it. We have another one with 4. So we know it fluctuates. So it would be close to, I would say, a third. Okay, and again, that's hard to put an exact number on it because of the number of family members that would come into a unit. Okay.
And so overall, our ecosystem, thank you, our ecosystem would look like, we don't have an idea of how many units we would have for transitional housing for our project yet, but.
Not yet, but we're looking in the area of 50 to 100, depending on how opportunities that are in front of us may go.
So we would have 2 shelters, high barrier, low barrier.
Correct.
1 and transitional.
1 or 2 transitional
1 or 2
housing
transitional
locations,
housing
plus
7
transitional units at the Center of Hope.
transitional units. And then 1 permanent supportive housing.
2.
2.
Crossings already exist.
Oh,
and then-
right, Crossings and Vista 29.
Right, and then you would have, and then the next rung would be affordable units that are being added to the market at the lowest income brackets, which are across the remaining housing authority developments, because everything that is now coming online within the housing authority is in addition to what was already pre-existing. So we're going to have a net plus of affordable housing units. And then I would offer to council as well that the Avon Levy site that is under control of the city is to be determined.
So the South First Street is really, South First Street, the West Haven redevelopment.
Right.
Those would all
South
be-
First Street Phase 2, I believe, we gain a net positive, provided everything else comes as scheduled. So 6th Street would be a gain of more than what was on the original site, and West Haven will dramatically be more than what is on the site today. So this is the part of the redevelopment phase where we actually gain deeply affordable units.
Fantastic. It would be fabulous if there could be more transitional housing built into that model. We're seeing a real, I think the future will be relying on that level of the ecosystem more so than shelter even. So thank you for starting there, and hopefully that can build out. Yeah. Sorry, you sat down for that. I think Sam tried to warn you, don't sit down.
Yeah.
I do want to say, when we put together this plan, we weren't aware, and I believe this has been a perpetual development in the city, which I think reflects the seriousness of the situation, but also the level of compassion. And again, the Salvation Army, as Derek mentioned, 114 years, we understand flexibility and we understand adjustment. And the current location where we're at is a really good reflection of that. The first building that we had was for after-school program daycare. And we did that for a number of years, but the community changed and so forth, so we transitioned into something else. And we're very excited about the whole plan, not just our component, but the Salvation Army as a whole always looks to meet the need. We are not program-based. We are a program shelter, but we are missionally minded. And as the needs change and the dynamic is modified a little bit, we desire to have some flexibility. And we know that this facility will be a complement to, it won't be the total solution. We never envision it to be that, but a complement to what was already in place. And we're very grateful. Again, city manager, mayor, all of you have just been so kind to us. And also looking at the aspect of the Salvation Army being a partner and a player to help solve and to strengthen lives in the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, as I recall from some of your statements, that on an average month, you transition about 10 individuals into housing. So it's 120 a year. That's significant.
Yes, and in fact, this past July, we had 26, which the number, and again, that's a reflection upon our staff. And the program aspect of the Salvation Army is critical. The transitional housing program, we have a program that's connected to it. It's called Pathway of Hope. It's a 2-year program for families. And that's one of the reasons why we're striving to do more in relation to families. If we can move with them so that they do not return back to that homeless or without housing situation, we know that we're just going to strengthen that cycle. And we believe if we can work with a family long periods, there's better success in that area. And again, we hope to go out of business. We really do. And so thank you so much.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? If not, can I get a motion? Or is this public? This is not a public
No.
hearing.
And I actually included a request for a 4/5 vote, if you are so inclined. And the reason for that is so that the Salvation Army would have the ability to indicate that they have been awarded these funds, so that as they continue to work for the remaining days of the month, they can indicate that to any prospective donors.
I move to authorize this resolution with a single reading and a 4/5 vote to ensure the inclusion of this grant amount in the capital campaign, which closes on August 31st.
Second.
All in favor? We're gonna vote.
Oh, wait. Oh.
The vote passes 5-0. As we, before we go to the next public hearing, public comment, we made an error, and we need to go back and make a change with a vote that we did earlier today.
I displayed the wrong vote here because I was inputting the next thing. So if we could go back and
I'm
redo
sorry.
that one.
Okay, for the e-vote.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yes.
They would love that.
And then
Many.
we'll restart that.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
To rescind the vote that we did for a placement for the YMCA board.
Yes,
So, yeah.
we moved a little faster in our closed session, and we accidentally appointed the wrong person to the YMCA board. So citing section 2-73 of the city code, a motion to reconsider, which must be made in the same session during which the vote was taken. This will remove Bill Barefoot from the YMCA board and add James Brown.
Is there a second? Oh.
No.
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 We had appointed Mr. Barefoot, but now we want to do Mr. Brown.
Rescinding Mr. Barefoot and voting to appoint Mr. Brown is the correction.
Yeah.
I thought I saw another name on the.
So when we went into closed session, we rushed through a lot of appointments, so.
So we wrote that down incorrectly. We're so sorry.
Yes,
So yeah, motion to rescind and appoint Mr. Brown instead.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we will vote to rescind that vote and appoint Mr. Brown.
Oh.
Okay.
We do apologize for that confusion.
Yes. Okay. So we're now at the opportunity for public comment for individuals that have not spoken already. Anyone would like to speak? Yes.
Hello, my name is Donis Chambers. I'm part of the encampment under the bridge. I've been sitting here listening tonight to everything that's been said. They said there's been services coming down there checking on us to making sure we're good, letting us know the weather and that stuff like that. Unless I'm blind or these people are invisible, we haven't seen nobody down there with none of these storms, none of these weathers. They've been showing up afterwards, after trees down, trees fell on tents that still hadn't been moved. And another thing, I listened to y'all last week of how y'all say y'all been spending all this money, 30 million, 4 million here, giving the Salvation Army money. The thing about that is, I'm curious of one thing about the Salvation Army. I'm a father that has a son that tried to get in there, and they don't have units for fathers. Is that going to be fixed, and then is that going to be addressed? And another thing, y'all been spending all this money, but there's been no support for the homeless people. You say you want to help them. You say you want to get them out of the streets and in apartments. There should already be a team put together that is helping every homeless person, whatever service they need, whatever they need, putting them in order so they can housing come available, shelter come available, whatever comes available, they're already in the process of getting in there. You're just taking people off the street, trying to throw them in there, and they have mental health problems. Some of these people are pedophiles. You're sticking them there with women with no doors where they can lock themselves away from these people, and you're just throwing a whole bunch of people in here with a whole bunch of mental health problems that you know nothing about. Y'all don't communicate with these people. Y'all don't talk with these people. Y'all don't build bridges with these people. Y'all have nobody coming out there doing nothing. The Care Bears do more for us than y'all do, and they're not funded by y'all, which I think is absolutely crazy. They come down there and help us out, make sure we're good, and everybody doesn't have good days, everybody doesn't have bad days, and they understand that. Y'all should already have a team that's working on that, but y'all don't. But y'all can allocate all these funds to this building, to this place here, but y'all forgetting the main thing. The main thing is the people. If you don't fix the people, what's the purpose of building this building that nobody's gonna be in? If you don't work with the people and figure out what's their problem, why are you out here? Why are you homeless? Let's start there and then move to the building. If you don't fix the problem, you're gonna have people go into these buildings and back out in the streets again. It's like y'all use us for cattle, line us up. We need money for homeless. Y'all get money, do nothing. We need money for homeless, get another grant, do nothing. Y'all build these buildings, build these stuff. These people are going to these buildings and they're back out on the street because you're not fixing the problem. If you don't go to this person and ask them, why are you out here? Let's start there. You're not gonna fix the problem by putting someone in the house.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your, anyone that hasn't spoken already would like to speak? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Before we do, Mr. Sanders, I wonder, I'm not quite sure who the right person to address this would be, but there was a question that was raised during the first public comment period about the Azalea Drive project that it seems to me that it would be, I would certainly like to know the answer about what the problem has been, B, what the administrative response has been, the enforcement response has been. I suspect that the folks who are raising the question may think the city has more power than it actually has, but I would like to know what power the city actually has.
Yep, I made a note of that as well, and we'll make sure that we dig into that. I think there's not only our public works stop work order matter, I guess we issued that. I'm not sure if we did it or if NDS did it, but we'll check into that as well as check into how DEQ is assessing it because they were engaged as well in regards to the violation of the settlement moving.
Thank you.
We'll get that response to you.
Thank you.
It looked pretty bad, but we've had a lot of rain.
Well, yeah, but that's the reason why you have erosion controls in place, and they're supposed to work.
Is
Okay.
there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, please say no. Thank you very much.